Okay, I got the red smoke.
Gun runs north to south, west of the smoke, west of the smoke.
Okay, copy. West of the smoke. I'm looking at danger close now.
Come on with it, baby. Give it to me. I need it. You're cleared hot.
Copy, cleared hot.
And like I submitted that to the service.
Yeah.
And I took out, I knew what I was doing. They didn't touch it. There was like, no, the next one's going to be worse because I already started the second one. Right?
Oh, no.
So
what's the second one going to be about? We're going now too, by the way.
So the second one is...
We'll get to the first one, but you said the second one's going to be worse. In what regard?
The second one's going to be worse in the fact that the stories are going to be more in-depth than that already is.
In-depth, are we talking about largely successes or failures inside of the institution? Or both? Are we having... Okay.
It's both. And the stories touch on things. This one's more about the individual. It's about you becoming a better human being. And a lot of that is the stories of just not like my stories, but stories that I've been around and close to. The second one is you being able to lead a group of people. And from that perspective, now you're intertwined with everybody around you.
Yeah.
And coming from the CAP perspective, it's just all teams. For like 15 years of that was teams. And then a lot of people, you can't be a good leader if you're not a good person. From my perspective,
I would agree with that generally.
If you're just constantly, I say it all the time, mission, men, and then you, right? And that's, Pete Labor talks about that. A whole bunch of people talk about that. So the mission is like, hey, what do we have to do? Keep these guys alive. That's number one. It doesn't matter. Nothing else. Everything else is like secondary, tertiary, all the way down. Second is the men. And those are close. Because they kind of flip-flop sometimes depending on what the ask is.
Well, one's required for the other.
It is. And I have conversations with people. It's like, well, you don't have you can't do anything without men. It's like, right. But without the mission, I don't need the men. So it's like you have to balance that.
Chicken or egg almost. So
they're really close. And then you're all the way on the bottom. And that's the right way to be a leader, not a manager, not a coordinator, not an administrator, not whatever word you want to insert into there. It's mission, men. Put that up there, manage those as best as you can. There's a million stories I could tell about all that. And then you're on the bottom, but you still got to love yourself. You still got to take care of yourself. If you become a fat slob, it's hard to do this if you're not taking care of yourself. So everything together, but again, man, in the service, sometimes we put these not in the right order. And it's like, well, I'm up top, and then the other two, it depends on what's going to get me what I want to get. So there's a lot of that going on, and it's the
misaligned incentives is a good way to describe that.
I think it's just blind to what's important.
I don't know if they're blind. I think for some people that they're not blind to it, that their desire for self or personal achievement or recognition actually is just the pull to that is more so, for whatever reason, for that type of person is more so in the individual direction than the team one. I don't think they're blind to it. It's easy to say they didn't know. Sometimes they know.
Well, the blind part, yeah, you're right.
Sometimes they know.
Sometimes they know. A lot of times they know.
Yeah.
They're blind to it because that's what the culture becomes.
Yeah.
The culture tells you to be good at your career, have a wonderful career, do everything for your career. And sometimes you got to give. And the more you give, I have these guys, they're instructors and team leaders now on CAT. And a lot of them, they were my proteges. I trained them. I had them on the team. I taught them how to be team leaders. And I say all the time, like, hey, don't forget that place. You love that place so much, it will never love you back the same.
Yeah.
And they forget that because they think at the end, there's going to be this like hoisting on the shoulders. That's not how it works, though.
It's going to be a replacement of one heartbeat for another.
You just get washed away. You're a government employee. It doesn't matter how many millions of dollars they put into me. Like they put millions and millions of dollars into me learning all this crap that I went all over the world. I went to almost 90 countries. I trained with every single, either at the location with their instructors or with the unit that you can just say the name, except for the Raiders. I never got into like MARSOC.
I never trained with them either. Yeah.
So I know a lot of the guys.
Yeah.
There was a guy at my gym that I'm pretty sure he was made in a lab. He was synthesized in a lab because
Sometimes Marines are like that.
Yeah, he's like 6'3", and I don't think he had body fat. He was less body fat than the table. So, but
What type of gym are we talking about? Gymnastics gym?
jiu-jitsu
Nice. How long you been training?
through over 3 years, just over 3 years.
Why did you only start at the tail end of your career?
I was not focused and didn't have a set schedule where that was a real thing. I wrestled for like 20 years.
Oh, no, I don't ever want to roll with you. I hate
And
wrestlers.
then,
wrestling is so real.
Well, that
Grappling is grappling.
the wrestling kind of, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's like cheating if you, somebody that doesn't know how to wrestle,
Oh, but it is though.
but it's like, and I mean, I have great people in my gym and I learn quick. The wrestling hurt me in the beginning, but now it helps me.
If you can play off your back and develop a guard, you're going to be unstoppable.
Yeah.
Because the 20 years of grappling is not going anywhere. Wrestlers, first, they don't protect their neck because they're used to being able to post
yeah.
up. And
Oh, yeah,
you're
I
like,
know.
oh, what are you doing? And especially if you throw a gi on. They figure that one out pretty quick,
That
though.
was quick.
And you don't want to be digging your arms in on a wrestler and turtle because you're going over the top or you're getting reversed. Then, though, they don't like being on their back, which I get. I didn't realize it was the cardinal sin of wrestling. But if you can teach a wrestler to play off their back, you can always wrestle up, right?
I mean, now it's like, and I'm old too, man. So it's like I gotta, in order for me to go with the volume that I go a lot. I don't. My wife
you can
thinks I'm
modulate
insane.
by pace and intensity.
And I do, and
Yeah.
it goes in ebbs and flows. And
So you getting close to purple belt, probably?
I'm a purple belt now.
Sweet. That's awesome.
So I have good people in my gym. I competed a little bit. I stopped for a while, and I'm getting the itch again. I gotta go back and do something.
How old are you now?
51.
Be careful with your body.
a little closer.
Yes, sir.
You shut up over there. See, notice he's not even talking into his. He yelled at you without even pulling his microphone. Why do you leave it like that, by the way?
So I can see this.
Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Black Rifle Coffee. Summer rewards people who move. The ones who get up early, they stay out late, they push farther, they work harder. And Black Rifle Coffee Company built the fuel to keep you up. While some brands are suddenly wrapping themselves in patriotism because America's 250th birthday was just here, BRCC has proudly celebrated America, her military, and the people who serve its country since day one. Every bag, every box, every can purchase helps supports the communities that make America stronger. This summer, stock your cooler with their new ready-to-drink cold brew coffee cans in just black and vanilla. And when you need more energy, grab their new Bomb Pop-inspired energy drink, Tiger Stripe. With 0 sugar and 200 milligrams of coffee, Tiger Stripe was built for range days, road trips, long shifts, and everything else summer throws at you. Find Black Rifle Cold Brew and Tiger Stripe now at Walmart or your local grocery store, Black Rifle Coffee Shop, or online at blackriflecoffee.com. Veteran founded, American roasted. This is America's coffee. That's a reasonable answer, actually.
Amateur. You just got to teach me how to do it.
He's a purple belt too. I think
Awesome.
we should solve this on the carpet right now. You were being unprofessional. Let's see
think
what
John would kick my ass
I
right now.
know for a fact he would. Did you not hear the 20 years of wrestling?
Yeah, no, I did hear that. That's why I said
I just
it.
stay on my feet. I wasn't accomplished as a wrestler.
I don't. It doesn't matter. Most people get into jiu-jitsu with no grappling background.
Yeah,
I'll put myself into that category. You tussle up a little bit with somebody who has been grappling even recreationally for 20 years. It's a fucking problem.
I miss it. My body can't handle the explosiveness of it.
Do you miss the outfit?
Not even a little bit.
I really feel like the participation in that sport would be exponentially higher if they just made a few wardrobe changes. You could do a pair of shorts and like a no-gi outfit. I feel like in wrestling, it would accomplish mostly the same thing, and people would feel way better about wearing that.
Maybe we didn't use rash guards when I was going through. It
Why
was
would
just
you?
T-shirts. Well, I was because I'm old, right?
Yeah.
We had rotary phones too. When I
Have you ever seen the YouTube videos of where they pull rotary phones out for younger generations?
I have no clue. My daughter has
the best. I love it. All right. How long was it? We'll get to what the cat team stuff is. How long was it though working at the White House, or when you and for people to understand, the cat team, counter assault team, correct me if I'm wrong, that specifically pulls from the SA side of the house, right? The special agent side of the house.
Solely this.
Yes.
Agent side of the house.
So you come into the agency, you can go UD, Uniform Division, SA, Special Agent. FLETC is kind of the same, but then you depart or diverge a little bit, right? Because your basic sworn credentials come from the same place. Specialty comes after that, though, right?
Yeah, you're talking about UD versus SA?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
FLETC together, though, right?
No, FLETC is still, they do, and I don't know what it's called. It was called it's like a law enforcement basic. So they're more focused dealing, the uniform division I'm talking about now.
Yeah.
And they renamed it, I think it's Secret Service Police now.
I don't know.
I'm not 100% sure. But they do, it's basically a police course. It's like a federal police course. And we do criminal investigator training course or whatever it's called. And those are two separate. There's a lot of overlap. I would say it's like 80% overlap. And then they kind of specialize in a couple things. And we kind of talk about some other things. And
Both federal agents, though, correct?
Yes.
Okay, sworn at the federal level.
And then when they get to Beltsville, so the training center in Beltsville, Maryland, they'll do their uniform basic course, and then we do our special agent training course. And those are separate too. But again, there's a lot of overlap. So the curriculum for firearms, control tactics, which is, the
hands-on type
hands-on stuff, kind of stuff. All that stuff is like overlap. It's all the same curriculum. And then legal, what people don't understand is agents don't have the same police powers as the officers.
Really?
Yes, it is different. There are peace officer status in different states, and depending on what it is, the officers, the arrest powers that they have in Washington, D.C., and wherever else they go is it depends on what's going on. Obviously, if there's a felony that occurs in an agent's presence, then it's a felony. Then they can arrest them. But it's different than if it's like misdemeanors, and depending on what level of the
call it a crime,
whatever the crime is, or the felony, or misdemeanor, whatever you want to call it, the agents, and state to state is different. If you look up peace officer status, it'll tell you what exactly they're able to do and not able to do. In some places, you can arrest somebody for just walking too close to the president or the vice president and just seeming a threat. In other places, it's infinitely harder because we can do kind of way more. I mean, you go to Texas and then it's the same. Then you do whatever you want. And then you go to some other places and then and then it's not harder, but
probably just more nuanced than people would think.
Yeah, it's more nuanced. But if you just have the same mindset wherever you go, the problem resolves itself because you're going to do the same thing no matter what. An agent is responsible for whatever protective assignment that they have. So protective assignment meaning a person, or what a lot of people don't understand is if it's a national special security event and you're responsible for the venue, then you're responsible for the venue. When we talk about the Correspondents Dinner, everybody's like, oh my God, the guy blew past the checkpoint. And what about all the people that were in the lobby and the hotel? I should have swept the hotel. It wasn't a national special security event. So the focus isn't all the civilians. And unfortunately, that's the case. The entire Secret Service that was there, they're just going to default to their protectee, the person that they're protecting. So they'll fall back to all the president's detail, president. The CAT team that was assigned to the president. Same thing with the vice president. I forgot who else was there that we had details on. And
probably quite a few people.
Yeah, there were quite a few. And DHS secretary was there, I think. And
Kash Patel was there. I'm sure he has a small detail.
Yeah, he's from the bureau, but they're the same way. The bureau's not responsible for the rest of the hotel. And it's apples to oranges because we're coordinating the whole event. But then everybody coordinates together. And the focus is the people we're protecting. Once it turns into an NSSC, which is dictated by DHS will determine if something's an NSSC or not. Like this thing that occurred at the White House, the America 250, it was a SEER event. It wasn't an NSSC. And I'll get into that because there's a whole bunch of nuances and it comes down to like both budget and then who's kind of running the whole thing. So there's a lot going on there, and it's a hour-long conversation just to explain it because at first I didn't know the difference. I was like, oh my God, just tell me where to stand, right?
Yeah.
But if it's an NSSC, you're responsible for the entire venue. That means everybody that's inside the venue, we're responsible for. So then
Everybody.
everybody, because it's the security of the entire venue.
Wow.
We're also responsible for our people, but then they also have their own details. So if the president goes to the RNC, we're responsible for the RNC. We're also responsible for the president, but they have their own detail that they're figuring out their egress, they're figuring out where to take them, they're figuring out how to respond, et cetera, et cetera. We're figuring out how to secure the whole thing. No weapons in, no weapons, nothing else. And the laws are different, and the funding for it, where that comes from, and it's this whole thing where people are yelling about like the Correspondents Dinner, and I get it. We could talk about the MAC checkpoint. That's a whole separate thing.
Mm-hmm.
And but what the responsibility is drives how this thing is run.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think it's just blanket. We're responsible for saving everybody's life, and that's not the case. The guy was in the lobby, and he had whatever weapons in the Correspondents Dinner. There should be a local presence of whatever municipality that would be. In this case, maybe it was, I'm not even going to say I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody, but just to understand how these things work, because it kind of helps. A lot of people don't want to hear it. They're just kind of just going to yell no matter what happens. So
a lot of people don't want to grasp the concept, though, that security is very fluid and perfect security is impossible.
It is never perfect. It does never look good. It's like
they want to think that you. So we use the Correspondents Dinner, which, by the way, if anybody at the Secret Service is listening, here's a suggestion: take that hotel off the list of venues, because guess who else got shot there?
Yeah, it's called the Hinckley Hilton for a reason.
Yeah, Reagan. Now, and then people think that the guy who, at first I thought he was the first metahuman because I watched a really slow frame per second video of him running by the mag checkpoint, and it looked like the Flash. Here he is. This footage though, and they were breaking this down, by the way, but the first time I think Michael and I looked this.
Oh, it was, yeah.
It was as if he was the Flash. So I just
was low
assumed,
FPS.
Yeah, the first metahuman had exposed himself. Believe me, I'm sure both you and I have plenty of things we could say about what we see on the video. What people think, though, is that just outside of frame that Trump was standing there, this man had...
It's a floor and a half away.
Stairs. He was on the other end, and I'm not saying it was great, but I'm like the other end of the downstairs ballroom with a substantial amount of people.
There was multiple layers of security.
Yes, that he got nowhere near.
And I'm not an apologist for the service. I want to tell the truth.
Yeah.
99% of the truth, still a lie, right? If there's well, I talk about it in my book too, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you're only telling almost the truth, you're still lying.
Yeah, lying by omission, by leaving the other stuff out.
I can say, hey, I can't talk about something because of the sensitivity.
But that's different.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's so he was a floor and a half away. There was a lot. If he kept going at that pace, he's with no obstructions.
Assuming
no
he's not a metahuman.
Assuming he's not the Flash, right?
Which I'm just saying, the first footage Michael and I saw, we unanimously agreed it might be the first documented metahuman ever.
When I first saw it too, I was like, my first reaction wasn't what happened. It was like, damn, that guy's fast.
Exactly.
Right? And then I was like, holy shit, let me just see what just happened, right? But if he kept going at that pace, I would say he's got about a minute, maybe a minute and change before he reaches where Trump was sitting.
With a shotgun, assuming he had rounds left. And then his secondary weapon seemed to be a fleet of knives.
I mean, I don't even know what to compare that to, but
same.
So I'm looking at the knives on the wall here, and
apparently he had like a nice
leather
leather chalice system on, and that's why I'm gonna guess he was naked on the ground because they didn't understand what the hell he was wearing. So take it off.
I think part of that was they kept removing layers, and at some point you check for,
Jesus. Take it easy, John Wick.
Is there a Bowie knife, right?
I mean, that's a Rambo knife, vertically oriented, which traditionally only seen in the movies because gravity is real. I mean, mental health takes a variety of different expressions.
I think he was stripped down because he might have been wearing stuff they're looking for IEDs also. So that not confirmed. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that particular incident?
Honestly, and again, not an apologist, but what happened was the security plan worked. The multiple layers of security stopped them, however it is that they stopped them. The mag checkpoint, and let's face it, to say anything other than those guys were complacent and they were done with the day.
Yeah, they were breaking it down, right? That's why that box was there. And mag checkpoint means, I believe, magnetometer.
Magnetometer, yeah. So the magnetometer checkpoint, and they're breaking it down, which is normal, except for they'll leave one up, maybe two up, just to ferry in anybody that's late, or if somebody leaves the venue for whatever reason to make a phone call or go to the bathroom. Or
because essentially the event had happened, so the mass throughput of those checkpoints had already occurred.
That's right. Yeah. And so them breaking it down is not uncommon. It's just they should leave one up. But the attitude there is, and I've said this on other shows too, for me, it's the complacency that occurred then, because they were done. Their mindset that they were done there. And I guarantee you, and I know, some of those guys came from another assignment and some of those guys are going to another assignment. So part of it is just the tempo of how they're working, and they just want to go home. I understand that, but it's hard to say, yeah, great job, it was 100% perfect. The one not agent, I think it was an officer, he missed rounds that he shot at him. So that's a problem for me, right? We hold ourselves to such a high standard that you have to have, first, 100% target discrimination. That's 100% you have to have. And two is you have to have surgical marksmanship. And I use those words, which is very difficult to do across the agency, but those things are musts. And I understand, I come from CAT, so it's like those guys are operating at a higher level, and I understand that, and maybe I'm biased. But in order for that to not happen again, you can't be complacent. As exhausting as it is, instead of being flush on the walls, they could have been in the middle. They could have just been standing in the middle, obstructing it. He would have at least slowed down. He might have shot them. Who knows what he would have done
through them.
But that's
at that speed.
That's some that's some Christian Okoye stuff, right? So, but that's when I watched that, I was like, come on, man, like
you're holding. But so I'll interject here. Surgical marksmanship. I love the concept.
It's not reasonable.
Tier 1 units, they miss shots too. You're accountable for your rounds, but also we're operating in an environment overseas where oftentimes our backdrop is just really thick mud walls.
This is a civilian environment.
But you also, I think one of the main guys that shot back was the dude who just took that grazing round of the shotgun.
Yes.
So he was laterally maneuvering while indexing his firearm, pistol shot on a guy running. I tell you what, man, it's hard. It's hard. And I love Tier 1 and CAT dudes and all the special operation guys to death. It would be an interesting test to line them all up and have them test that for accuracy.
I will also agree with you. In the same token, the way they were standing and set themselves up,
100%.
They were in a natural crossfire before the weapon was even drawn.
I think it's okay to try to achieve unrealistic expectations. But that should be the goal.
And that's the goal. That's the point of that.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be. And I'm trying to say what I want to say without throwing anybody under the bus. That guy did a great job in responding. Okay. And that wasn't the part that bothered me more. The part that bothered me more was the complacency that was going on there. That complacency contributed to all the backlash that the service gets. Every time when I started and I had a post-landing assignment, and I was standing in a stairwell for like 12 hours. It's like my first year, and I was contemplating the decisions of my life.
Throwing yourself down the stairway head first.
All right, yeah. It's just like, what am I doing here? Standing in a stairwell where nobody comes to see me for 12 hours.
They didn't put that on the recruiting poster for you?
Well, actually, that's not true. If you want to be a Secret Service agent, and if you want to be a Secret Service agent, put your best suit on, stand outside your front door of your house. Don't let anybody in for 8 hours. Have your wife come and bring you a snack. You can go to the bathroom while she stands there and then come right back and stand there for another 4 hours. That's your intro to being a Secret Service agent.
Yeah.
You got to get through that to do all the cool stuff. Okay? So that's, and obviously.
We call this homework.
Obviously I'm being an ass, but
you're also being realistic.
Not that far from it though.
Yeah.
But the endeavor, so look, after this happened, and you have, and we're talking about the MAC checkpoint. Nobody's talking about the guys afterwards that stopped them. Nobody's talking about everybody inside the venue that responded. Nobody's talking about the guy who ripped Vance out of his seat. Nobody's talking about the CAT teams. Nobody's talking about anybody else.
How did Vance get out of his seat before the POTUS?
The guy that pulled Vance out of the seat was probably standing right there. And I know the other side of it was, understand, it took about 10 seconds. Took about 10, 12 seconds. Yeah. There was no threat inside the ballroom.
I get that. I can just see.
So part of it is
Trump going,
yes,
excuse me.
And part of it is that. Did you ever watch the video with Bush in Iraq and the shoe thrown at him?
One of my favorites.
That, right?
He has moves. I absolutely love it.
But he also did this, and the detail leader stopped. Right?
I don't think you're supposed to do that.
No, you're not supposed to listen to the person, right? So they moved him out.
Yes,
it was like 12 seconds. There it is. Now watch.
Can we be honest? His moves were good.
He's a nimbly guy. There he is. Like, he's a nimbly guy. And watch, here comes the detail leader, and then he just says, "Hold on."
Bumps him off.
Yeah, he holds on.
Have you seen the video of Reagan? A balloon pops during his speech, and he goes, "Without a hiccup, missed me."
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a.
Yes. Now, okay, you bring up an interesting point. Let's fast forward to Butler, where Trump seemingly wants to stay on the stage. I didn't come from your world. We called it PSD, personal
security details.
Worst job ever, completely reactive, just stand there and hope for the best.
It's kind of like us.
Yeah. But getting off the X was emphasized at all times at every level. How is it possible that Trump stood up there for as long as he did?
A little bit of what you just asked me about the Correspondents Dinner was involved in that.
Okay.
So, and truth be told, that's the truth. And if anybody, we can say good job, and they got him off the X. Mm-hmm. But
the reason he is alive, two things. One, he turned his head at the last moment.
It's luck.
And two, it was a dum-dum who was using iron sights, and my suspicion is aiming for his head.
I thought he had a Holosun on there.
Even at that distance, though, right? It probably if it was even a 1 MOA one, it probably would have exceeded the width of the body. I think the issue was he was aiming for his head,
which is a difficult thing to do from.
Yes.
Yep.
So I think luck more than anything. But him standing there, I mean, let's not bullshit. Iconic photo, maybe top 3 of just standing up there and screaming. But also, how are you still standing up there and screaming? FYI.
There is, when I watch the video.
Let's get you in all the trouble right now.
Yeah, it's like the trouble's not. This is the truth, though. The truth was, in the Correspondents Dinner, take the complacency of the mags out. Mm. We did our job. Layers of security. Stop the guy. He wasn't going to get close. Even if he got through the next 3 or 4 layers of security, he still has about that many to go before he reached Trump.
And the problem is almost nobody understands that world. And all they saw was that footage of him running by. And can you imagine if they had shot him before he had run by? You actually are in a no-win situation. You're going to get crucified for that. And now you have people looking at something with incomplete information and 0 experience crucifying you again. So you're in a no-win, for clarity.
The security world is you never win. You just try to break even.
Correct.
That's kind of the security world.
What I'm saying is true, though. It wouldn't have mattered how that panned out. Likely the most vocal people are the ones who have no understanding of what you're talking about, the layers and rings of security, how they work together, how far he was.
I just invite people to go down to that hotel and just walk from the hotel side through the tunnel to the venue, figure out what ballroom he was in. They might have changed it with the walls and everything, but like just walk through and you'll see, number one, it's 2 different venues. The hotel side and then where they have the convention center side or whatever you want to call it. There's like 2 different venues.
You can do this from your computer too. I watched it.
Yeah, people, they only use their computer when social media is involved if they want to yell at somebody. But when it comes to looking up facts,
no, I mean they can do a 360 tour.
Even that's like too difficult for some people.
It was one of the videos that I actually did watch because I was unfamiliar with the inside of it, and he literally took the path that the person did to highlight how far he was away.
Yeah.
When he got into the ballroom, you couldn't even make out that there was a stage on the other side.
It's far.
Yeah.
And this is where, again, there's two different things that are going on here. There's what's going on at the main mags, and then there was what's going on in the rest of the venue. They did their job. If you want to break it down and excoriate the people at the mags, and I can give you the excuses of why they were tired, overworked. Probably some of those guys haven't gone to training in a long time because of overworked is basically the one thing. Like, we need about, I don't know, 2,000 or 3,000 more people like now. And then the other part of it is the security plan worked. And understand what I talked about, NSSEs, and also the responsibility of who they're protecting. And there was no threat to the president. So when you say, like, why didn't they move him quicker? They didn't have to move him quicker. And they still got him off the stage in 12 seconds.
Yeah. Let's talk about one where there was a threat.
Well,
how is he still on the stage 30 seconds later?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to give excuses for that either. They should.
But how does it happen? Is he?
Well, didn't he ask to get his shoes or his hat or something?
Who gives a shit?
I know, I'm agreeing with you, but
isn't the role yank him off?
You put him in the car and leave.
Yeah. Wave to the crowd on your way out, dude.
And this isn't like some top secret.
No, this is
PTP.
all can be found on YouTube.
This is all like it's things.
Yeah.
And again,
here we go.
Here's the lucky part.
Yep. He's like, ow, ducks. Nobody knows what's going. Good reaction time
on him.
Yeah. I'm assuming they're basically putting their bodies.
Yeah, and they got on him quick.
Yeah.
That like the response to him.
Yeah.
Was really fast. You couldn't even see the guys that got up there. The first guy that jumped up on him, he's from behind the stage.
Yeah.
You didn't see him, I think, just from the angle that the camera was at. But they did a good job of shielding him.
Yep.
And just understand now, like, they're standing there where there was
there you guys
gunfire.
come.
Oh yeah, both of those guys. Yeah, I don't want. I was about to say something but the response was quick, and at this point now, they should have just dragged him down the steps.
Yeah, hit pause, Michael. I don't give away anything sensitive in nature. Why are they still right there? Is the correct tactic move him as soon as possible? Obviously, don't move him into greater danger. Created the barrier with the bodies, right? I'm sure there's ballistic elements associated with that, with their vest, whatever it is. But he's still on the X.
So I'll answer that with a question. When has hunkering down ever worked? And go back into
when do you want to die?
Right? So we go back to...
I mean, honestly, if your enemy can maneuver and you hunker down, you're fucked.
There you go. And then we go back in time to talk about Thermopylae, the Alamo, Benghazi.
Thermopylae, at least they had a little bit of
Custer.
terrain in their favor.
They did.
Yeah.
A little bit of terrain in their favor, but they still hunkered down and fought to the end.
Yeah.
It didn't work out well. They still, after they killed who knows how many people. But hunkering down, I have this conversations all the time, and I used to argue with supervisors. If we would say something like, "Hey, John, what's the plan here?" I was team leader, right, at this point. And he's like, "All right, initial response. This is our initial response. And then we're going to coordinate with whatever the asset is, and we're going to move him, and we'll take him to the cars." So, let's hunk. And this is not all the supervisors, just the ones that I wanted to have wrestling matches with. It's like, we're just going to hunker down and wait for the problem to get resolved. I'm like, "Hey, man." And I would have that conversation with them. That's why it's kind of, it just rolls off my tongue. I'm like, when has hunkering down ever worked? We have to take him somewhere else. And it's
hunker
sometimes
down.
Down.
Okay, maybe if you're in a place where you could strong point something, or you could put ballistic something in between. This is wide open air.
This is the example. And again, not to be an apologist, something like this is the first time in a long time where something like this happened.
Yeah.
So is the response rusty? Is the response were they mentally prepared for this to happen? Some of the complacency that I talked about, the Correspondents Dinner, I didn't talk to a lot of these guys about this, but I'm pretty sure that happened here too, especially if something didn't happen for, when was the last shooting that occurred with the Secret Service before that? I'm trying to think of of anything in between this and Reagan.
I'll add to that too. How many of the officers have been exposed to the downrange sound of gunfire and a ballistic snap going past you to be able to move on the snap or know what it actually sounds like to get shot at?
And there's a lot that went on here. And again, not an apologist, but they stood on the stage to understand, like they covered him.
Mm-hmm.
And for them not to expect more gunfire.
That's what I was going to say. This might work, or in him standing back up and staying there may work. I'm still not going to advocate for it if it is a single person operating by themselves, but not if it's more than one.
That would be
catastrophic.
That's always more difficult. That doesn't matter. That's why CAT exists. The first write-up that was whenever it was for an organized threat against the people that we protect, and that's why CAT exists. And there was a bunch of SWAT teams there. There was the snipers that you can't see them in this frame, but the capabilities kept expanding. And even after this, every time that there's something that occurs, there's an expanse in the amount of resources that go into something. And that was no different. What was that? Correspondents Dinner will be no different. Sometimes things are mitigated, and it's because, what was the guy that made it to Vance's residence and broke the window? You know what I'm talking about?
I do, and honestly, this story is insane.
He went up.
I mean, Vance wasn't there before we get into this.
He wasn't there.
But this individual was allowed in the presence of a United States Secret Service officer.
Yeah. It's hard to defend.
Yeah.
And I go back. Everybody wants this conspiracy theory. When I first asked about Butler, it was like, hey man, there was a second shooter in the water tower. There's a
right? I know, trust me, it was insane.
There's the angles and the magic bullet that they took from the Kennedy assassination, and they brought it with them, and they did all this stuff. And I was like, listen, you want this smoking gun. The smoking gun occurs from the shooter on backwards. That's where the smoking gun is. If there's a conspiracy there, it's from his background, which we still don't know about.
What are your thoughts on that?
There's some weird stuff that came out in the beginning, and I know more because when they say certain things, the red flags they're kind of there because I was being briefed on emerging threats before I left. So there was a lot of stuff. There was a lot of overseas stuff that I was being briefed on because where I was when I left the last 2 years, I had access to a lot of programs and a lot of dignitaries that were coming to the United States. So I would be briefed on whoever would come to the United States. So if Iran was coming to the United States, I was briefed on Iran. I would get whatever the cable was, or I'd have to go down to the intelligence division. And it was the same thing for whoever, it doesn't matter who it is. And on top of that, the non-traditional stuff that I was doing too, which was certain people that are of interest to other groups overseas. So after being briefed on that stuff for the last 2 years, and also like what I knew about before I left CAT, when I was an instructor and when I was an operations supervisor, I would go to our intelligence division and ask them for emerging threats and things like that. And I would sift through stuff. Sitting in a skiff, I would sift through stuff to see what is of interest to me. And then it would give me ideas on how to, especially when I was an instructor, how to create scenarios so I can try to kill my guys. And putting all that together, the stuff that they said about him, overseas accounts, I don't know how valid that is, but it kind of went away. It went to the land of shit no one talks about anymore. Yeah. And if there is a conspiracy, it starts there going backwards. And if I had powers to investigate it, I know where I would look to validate or invalidate the things that they were saying. Going from the shooter forward for the Secret Service, everybody wants this like conspiracy theory. The Bidens call out a hit. The director was pulling assets away from this particular event in order to like Jill Biden had something in Pittsburgh, I think. It was relatively nearby. I think you're putting too much emphasis into that, because I could tell you some of that is maybe political, right? Because the director at the time is if in fact there were assets going from one place to the other, it wasn't because of a hit. It was because of appearance, because we're entering into a campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the accuracy and the truth of that. That part is my opinion. I don't know I looked at what assets she got in Pittsburgh or wherever the event was, and it kind of, I was like, all right. It's like nothing looks weird, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe that's just people saying stuff, but this is like Occam's razor.
Yeah.
Like, there was a hole, and there's a lot of people that did a good job at this site. There's a lot of people that didn't do a good job at this site. But if you had the number one defense in the NFL and your defensive tackle falls down and the running back happens to run right at that hole, he's going to get past the line of scrimmage, and then it depends on what the next hole is. So you have the number one rated defense, and I'm not saying that the service is the number one rated defense, but who is, if not the service? Mm-hmm. And there was a hole there that was created for whatever reason. There's a million stories about why there was nobody on that roof. And it's not because it was a slope roof. Let me just like throw that out there.
It had a slight slope to it.
Yeah, and everybody that stood on it afterwards, to include all the senators and congressmen, didn't have any problems with it. Okay, so like and it was, there's manpower, stuff fell through. People were talking about whether it was too hot or whatever the case might be. It was in July. I don't know. Maybe it was too hot. I wasn't there. There's a lot that went into what's going on there, but the Occam's razor and what I know from the inside is that there's complacency involved, okay? And that's what it was. And every time one of these things happen, the hair in the back of their neck stands up. For a while, it's like everybody's on their A game or their A plus game.
Yeah.
And then the complacency starts creeping in, because it's not like doing direct action hits where you're hitting a target every night. The target's coming to us.
Yeah.
And that's the reality. That everybody wants a smoking gun. Oh, the Bidens pulled out, put a hit on it. Stop. Just, if that happened, man, like I've been around so many administrations
Do you
and
know
heard
how
so
many
many
moving pieces that would require too?
Like, there's no secrets, man. And I'm telling you right now, if I heard that, I would say it right here on this podcast. And people want to believe in these conspiracy theories, and just doing the social media stuff, I'm learning that people have lost their mind with conspiracy theories. They're just...
So I've dug into it a little bit, because I used to think that too, and I'm open to being wrong about what I'm about to say, but I've talked to some people about this who know more about that type of mentality than I do. There seems to be a cohort, and I saw this with, not to move away from this because we can come back because I still have some questions about this, but with the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Sad.
Incredibly sad. The first thing that I think a lot of people don't want to wrap their intellectual arms around is that the layer between crazy people doing really gnarly stuff and causing damage is incredibly, incredibly thin. And I think the reality is most people as human beings are just not willing to cross that line. That is probably what protects more of this from happening than anything else, whether it's the morality or wherever it is. They might have a twisted sense of whatever and a deep hatred, but there's a difference between that and getting a high-powered rifle and getting on a roof. So it's super thin. But when it does happen, what people don't like is the feeling that they're not in control or that there's chaos. And I heard this time and time again from people who were very, very deeply invested in what I will call some conspiracy theories around Charlie Kirk. And for clarity, before people on the internet try to eat us alive, I do believe that there have been conspiracies involving our government in the past. They're pretty demonstrable. So I'm not saying conspiracies don't exist, but I am saying not everything is a conspiracy. We have to be able to work a little bit in between the two. But people would say, I have to get justice for Charlie. They keep digging in online, and then there's these forums and they're throwing out ideas, and it was the Rode microphone that was Israeli made that shot up and like it was the bulletproof vest and the rounds bounced off him, like you can see his nipples, guys. Like
my favorite was the Ninja Turtle that came out of the hatch.
Or his security detail signaling, because nobody ever gets an itch on their nose before something horrible happens, right? And when you freeze frame things, yeah, things can look really weird. But people legitimately believed that they were trying to help to get answers for somebody that meant something to them. It was either a sense of purpose or a sense of grasping onto some level of control because they don't want to think or believe that there is almost no actual control. And that makes a lot more sense to me, especially in a world where people feel isolated and oftentimes, my word's not necessarily anybody else's, lost. It's something they can wrap their arms around.
Have you ever read the book Chaos?
Yes. Years ago, though.
I love that book. And it was recommended to me by one of the girls at the agency that right, for the book. So I read it, and she wanted to ask me afterwards, like, what I thought about it. As I'm reading it, the idea that popped into my head, not an idea, kind of like epiphany, was that our inhibitions, and I'll start with social media, but it goes way deeper than that. Our inhibitions are becoming lower.
For some people, for sure.
And for some people, for sure. And if you look and if you start reading, and I like reading history and I like reading like the MK Ultra stuff and how real is that? And there was a real program, for those that don't know, it was a real program, and how there were like 140 programs or maybe more under it that were all funded by the same dude, right? Sidney Gottlieb funded them all. And the way that they created and controlled people was by lowering their inhibitions. And they did it with this psychedelic, right? With this drug, LSD.
Yeah.
And everybody's inhibitions were lower. So the inhibition, and we can just go down that rabbit hole. Again, it's like one of those like hours and hours long conversations. The inhibitions, social media, everybody can just say whatever they want with no consequence. You can call people Nazis and you can call people everything from good person to that and everything in between. It is with no consequence because you're hiding behind usernames. And I mean, if you really want to look, we can pull up people's IP addresses and track them down, and then the direct actions come in. But if we keep lowering our inhibitions to indulge into the, let's face it, with our emotions, to indulge in the behaviors that we think we should because we are,
or that are acceptable. Maybe not even think that we should. They're acceptable.
Well, they think that
he
they're
or
acceptable.
they deserved it.
Right. And then it's like we do it with anger and emotion because we get offended or things turned out not the way we wanted to. And we think that by injuring somebody that we're either fixing it or validating it, or you're going to celebrate like Charlie Kirk's death, people that celebrated it. And if you look now, the riots that are going on in Belfast, and I had my opinion on the riots and the way they're rioting, and like I learned from the 2020 riots, and like nobody wants to, they just want to go and burn down their own city.
Yeah.
And I talked about that in a second. But in the comments, if you read the comments, and I read a lot of the comments, you have these kids, they're kids, most of them are kids, and they're saying, start killing people, kill, right? And kill. And they're saying things like that, thinking that that's appropriate. And if somebody in Belfast starts killing immigrants because they're angry that this other guy, if they injure someone else who had probably nothing to do with the event, and I understand the whole problem, but you're burning down your own city.
Yeah.
If you're going to riot, I'm all for protesting. Do what you got to do. I'm way more, I don't want to say accepting of protesting, but I believe that that's a way to cause change, but you got to be targeted with it. You can't burn down your own city and think that after you burn it down, that the politicians who don't take the buses, who don't eat at the mom and pop shops, who don't even walk down the street are really going to care. They're going to throw money at it. And where does a lot of that money go? Think about Minnesota for a second. And this is my opinion, but this is my informed opinion of basically what I've been around. Minnesota burned down. We threw tons of money at it. Where's one of the states that the most fraud exists right now?
I mean, I haven't dug into it too deeply, but
Neither
it is
have I.
being reported as Minnesota.
Okay. So, but my point is, are those things correlated? Maybe. It's kind of hard to say that, like, oh, those two things are totally non-related somehow. Because there were meetings and it was like, hey, we need X billions of dollars to fix this. And it's like, okay, we'll send it along. And Of course they got to rebuild it. Those people, most of those people that live there had nothing to do with that. But you burn down your own city. Target your protest where there should be. The protests that were outside in front of the White House during 2020, those kind of got the attention of people more because the politicians live there. If you're burning down your own house, how does that make any sense? And that's kind of my 2 cents on like the protests. And it's,
well, one is driven by emotion.
It's emotion. There it is, the inhibitions.
And then the other one is driven by, not that necessarily every protester at the White House was there logically and objectively, but if you were to think about it and you wanted to be the most visible to the people making the decisions impacting your life, that would be the more logical place to be.
That's the more logical place. And then you got the protesters that show up, same ones that show up on the West Coast, show up on the East Coast, and everywhere in between. And it's like, maybe they're professional protesters. I don't know. All right. And that's also a thing where like I read a lot about the Belfast protest. Mm-hmm. They popped up all over the UK overnight. Those things were planned. Those people who were ready to organize those, they didn't come up with the idea after that guy did what he did. That stuff was planned. And they activated their plan when they had a reason to. So
I think you and I have been around the block enough times that we can probably definitively say and confirm that some people out there, man, their cause is just wanting shit to burn.
It's like the Joker from Batman.
Their
right?
cause is wanting to have a cause. And we live in a world where there's always a cause where you're going to be able to get behind. It's not everybody, but I think it is demonstrably true that there are. And I think it's a very small or relatively small segment. But yeah, some people, their life's mission is to have a cause and then go do something with it.
You should have a cause in life, but a productive cause. And then I'll turn it around on you and ask you, what are you doing for yourself? Go back to the mission, the men and me, that this applies here too. If your mission is whatever, right? Like whatever it is, and you're going out, but you're not educated, you're overweight, you're hurting other people specifically, targeting people, and you're hurting them first. That's just evil first, by the way. Can we say, like, if you're going to hurt somebody first and without provocation, you're the evil one. I don't know how else to say it. And I come from a place of security where been around 4 presidential administrations operationally, not like, in the field or whatever, operationally stood with an assault rifle next to 4 different presidents. And at some point, I become numb to the politics. And it's easy for me to just listen and see what's going on. And it's like, hey, you're doing things that are evil, right? You're doing things purposely to hurt other people. And it's not like in defense of something. You're going out because you don't like the way something is. And I'm not talking about the presidents here. I'm talking about the people who are coming at the presidents. You just don't like the politics. You don't like things that they said, whatever the case might be. Or you're misinformed as to what their policies are. Mm-hmm. So that's like it. Again, is it the truth? That's the truth. People can't help themselves because of, we go back to the indulgences, emotion. This is how everything's run now. The common sense, man, I like having common sense conversations with people, but it's hard.
Yeah. We have to have more of them though. What we can't do is throw our hands up and walk away and then let every ecosystem slowly slide its way towards those emotional decisions. It's difficult. I have a couple rules that I stay with online. The first one is I will respond to people, positive or negative. So I try not to have a bias either direction, but my response will always be positive in nature, or I won't go down to the level that they are coming at me at. I'll answer a question if they have it. If they're going to open with an insult, I'm not going to respond to one. And maybe it's a losing battle, but it's not one I'm going to stop fighting.
And I learned that the hard way. The social media thing is awesome.
You having fun with it so far?
That teaches you. Well, I'm still a nobody, but
doesn't mean you can't get in the comments section.
It doesn't get. Well, I love going down the comments because I like learning. Because I'll say stupid shit all the time. I say stupid shit. How many stupid things have I said now? Have you counted? Do
we have a tally, Michael?
Yeah, we've got about 10 so far.
There
Sweet.
You go.
Excellent.
So
those are rookie numbers, by the way. We can bump that up.
Yeah. I'll put a multiplier on that. But it helps me learn. I love, at this point, I love learning as much as I can.
Yeah.
Something snapped in my brain like 6-7 years ago, and I just like absorb things now quicker and easier. I like going down. I like passing the message that I'm trying to pass. This is why I'm doing this. This is hard for me. It's hard for me to get in front of a camera and talk, but it's almost like, not almost like, it is, I feel that it's necessary. We need to create stronger people. If we create stronger people, a lot of these problems will go away. Mm-hmm. If we have better leaders, a lot of these problems will go away. If we have people that make better decisions for us, not for you as an individual, not for you to hold power, seize power, or gain power, it's if we make people who take care of themselves, but also have that mission, and the men, depending on what organization that you're in, it's all the same. You don't have to be in the military. You don't have to be a Navy SEAL. You don't have to be a Secret Service agent. You can go to any organization. If you think that way and your leadership style is not just what you're going to gain out of it, you're probably going to be successful. I say probably because nothing's guaranteed. Mm-hmm. But more often than you just, how many times people just throw their hands up, they don't even try, they make excuses, they blame, look in our society now, we blame everything under the sun except you. You can't look in the mirror and say, oh man, how did we screw this up? So from the Secret Service perspective, after these things happen, there needs to be a significant after action.
Is there?
We say there is. We say there is. Did we learn? Can you find commonalities from this is still up, the Butler incident, mm-hmm. going all the way to, what's the last one? The Correspondents Dinner? Mm-hmm. Are there commonalities? I will tell you that, and I just said the one that I see is the complacency.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, though, on that point, because this is an interesting one. Coming from the world of being Secret Service agent and then being very proximal to the president because of the role of the CAT team, although it's beyond just the president itself, but that's one of the main things. Is it possible to not have complacency in the job you guys do? Because we were talking about this on our way over here. The service has been pressed more times in the last 2 years than it has been in the last 20. But if you don't get pressed for 20 years, and people may not like to hear this, there is a huge difference between experience and training. They're not the same thing.
They're not the same thing.
But if your job never allows for a real world rep, which is a great thing because that means you guys aren't getting pressed, but it could also be viewed as negative because it means you guys don't have the experience either. So how do you keep complacency out of the role that you have, where in the rules of the game you guys are playing with, you're largely reactive instead of proactive? How do you bridge that gap?
There are proactive measures that people don't see.
Yeah.
So that I'll just throw that in there. So
and I'm not saying they're not, but I'm saying largely the protective world is you're not out there guns blazing first.
No, it's reactive, and the reactive, it's very exhausting.
And if you can go a week and nothing happens, and then a month, and then a year, and I'm sure there's people.
I asked my boss one time if we got hit once out of every 10 motorcades that we did, would we run this place the same way? He says no.
Oh my God, it would look completely different.
I just looked at him like, well, then what the fuck, man? Right? And
yeah.
I think that was my response. That's why I kept getting in trouble, because I respond like that. But at the end of every operation I did, I remember one time somebody started yelling at me. I would take my helmet off and I would sit on the bumper of the truck as everybody's cleaning all their shit up and putting their stuff back in the bags. And I would just sink down, and almost like all the stress would roll off of me. Because as I'm working, I'm looking at the terrain. I'm looking to see where the limo is. I'm looking to see where the other cars are, where the other agents are, what my guys are doing. I'm evaluating based on intel that I had or didn't have. And it was just a constant loop that I was going through in my head. And this occurred especially when I was a team leader, constantly. To ask people to do that is impossible. And I understand that. To have first we need so many more people, good people. And then you're able to rotate them in a way that you can't work somebody for 45 days and expect them at the end to be as capable as they were in the beginning.
No.
Sometimes it's because there's shit happens, right? Stuff happens and we can't help it. How many times I remember where the oncoming cat team never showed up, so we just worked the double. Right?
What do you mean they didn't show up?
They
took a wrong turn?
No, overseas. You have foreign entities that won't let people through. They won't allow them.
Man, sweet. Unplanned double. That's a fun time.
Right. But it's like you can't, and those aren't common. Those are uncommon. But then it's just, if you don't try to hold that standard, we talked about it before with the firearms, then the complacency just comes quicker.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, take your gear off. What could happen, man? And then it's like, well, you take your gear off, then just sling your gun. Take your hands off your gun. Well, what could happen? And then that's a slow roll.
Nothing's happened for 10 years. What's the big deal?
It's a slow roll. And if you were able to play it for real, I think one of the things that kicked me in the ass was I kept going to look for assassination attempts in the briefings that I was getting. And I would just look at, I'm like, holy shit. But the stuff that some people were doing overseas, this is all, and you see people getting either attempts or what the case might be. That was one of the reasons that kept me going. The other reason is like, it is my personality. My personality was that I want to lead a group of people, and this will never happen on my watch. And I will burn everybody to the ground or die trying. And that was my message to all my guys. I remember one time we were in Bedminster. I had a brand new guy. He was driving the truck. We did the brief, and we were at night, and he just sits back, pulls his hat down, tries to put the seat back, and like he was taking a nap. Oh, no. I don't know what you did before. That's not the way it works, okay? You got the first patrol, right? And like he's just looking at me like I scolded him. And afterwards, I'm like, brother, this is the slow creep towards the complacency.
Yeah.
And I get it. You're good at your job.
Multiply that by 10 years. And what does that turn into?
And that turns into, and so people that you put in the positions have to have that mentality as that, like, you're going to be the asshole, man, and go and walk and tell people that you have to stay up for as long as possible and be prepared. You can't. I got into a briefing one time, and the person briefing me was like, hey, it was a bunch of us. Hey, there's bad intel at this venue, but we can't tell you what it is. I was like, what do you mean you can't tell me what it is? I have the same clearance as you. And one of my guys is like, so basically you're saying there's a plane that's going to hit one of the post standers, but we can't tell you which post stander, right? And the guy looked at him like, he's like, well, that's not it. And he's like, wait, so I narrowed it down. And we're having these arguments about,
why would they withhold that information from you?
because they would claim stuff that it's like it's not relative to the venue or not relative to the.
Then why tell you in the first place?
Just to piss us off, right? Just because knowledge is power. Because you read something. What would it hurt for you to brief me? Take you a minute and a half to brief me, instead of me arguing with you for a minute and a half. That could have been replaced. That's time well spent if you just telling me stuff. I'll be like, and then I could come up with my own. It's like, all right, that's really not a thing I should be worried about, but I'll just keep it in the back of my head just in case. So there's a lot of goodness in the service. Again, not an apologist, but I grew up there. There are so many good people. And this is what I'm going to say, and it's on this show, it's for everybody to hear. Local law enforcement works hard. Every single night, all these people across the country, they see more action in one night than the Secret Service does, probably in its history.
That's what I'm saying. How can you not be complacent?
Yeah,
when the experience level and the training level, they're not equal buckets.
And the local law enforcement does a great job. You know, for the most part, they're gonna start picking and choosing the stories that they want to say. But for the most part, local law enforcement does a great job because it's a hard job. And my hat's off to every single law enforcement agency in this country. The Secret Service, it's also a hard job. And you don't hear about you hear about the things that obviously are recorded and you can see, Correspondents Dinner, but you don't hear about the thousands and thousands. Let's talk about since July 13th, the tens of thousands of missions that the Secret Service has done that have occurred without incident, because you only care about the one, And then
Well, you only see the one. It's not that
you only see the one.
Yeah.
And then all the instances, and I know this is 100% fact, of things that have occurred that you don't know about because we stopped them before ever getting to this point.
Yeah.
So, and those people were people that weren't complacent. They're like, you know what? Fuck you. This is not happening on my watch.
Yeah, proactive
right?
versus reactive.
And, and they went out and they did what they had to do and they did a good job. But you don't hear about that because those are obviously like the best way for us to do our job is to not keep talking about the stuff that we did well, so nobody can deconstruct it.
What you're describing explains people's perhaps misplaced optic of what the agency and organization does. But internally, I would imagine people know what's going on and that those things are happening. But yet complacency still creeps in.
The complacency still creeps in because it's human nature for it to happen. And sometimes it's just the perfect time, perfect storm, the Correspondents Dinner. And it's not to like demean those guys. It's just hopefully you learn from it. Mm-hmm. And now whenever you're standing there, you're like, any person that walks by, you got to scrutinize them. You can't. It's almost like I had a guy and he was struggling. He was going through cat school. I was the instructor. And he is a great person. He shot really well. He struggled with his decisions. And he's like, I don't know. He's like struggling. All I said to him was, imagine your kid is the one that you're protecting. And he became Captain America right after that. Because he's like, every time I envision my kid, what would I do to prevent my kid from getting hurt? Like, good. That and whatever you had for lunch, just do that every day from now on so we can get you through the school. And he turned out to be a fantastic CAT agent. He's a special agent in charge somewhere in one of the field offices now. And to get through to people, to make them understand, to find what makes Andy Stumpf tick. How can I get through to Andy Stumpf versus how can I get through to Mike or whoever, and not just, well, this is the way it's got to be. And all of you guys, especially when you're training people, all of you guys got to think the same. Sometimes you have to have that human nature, and that binds us together, and it makes us family. And the Secret Service is family, a dysfunctional family at times, but it is a family. And because there's not that many of us. Agents, I don't know how many there are now, but when I left, there was like 2,800, 2,700.
So you've mentioned a few times you feel like they need to hire thousands more. I feel like that would take a decade, to be honest.
It would take forever, and they're trying to do it. And there's attrition, and there's hiring, and then in mass hirings, you're going to get people that maybe you didn't want in the first place.
Yeah.
And then, so I hope that they're doing well with that. I know that they're trying. They're pumping a lot of money into it.
Is it realistic, do you think, to actually hire thousands more? I mean,
it's realistic.
You'd have to assign to it a realistic, trajectory on when that would occur.
Yeah, and I was an instructor. I was only a counter assault team instructor, so I wasn't an instructor for the basic classes that we're going through. Mm-hmm. I know the facility. I know how the facility works. I know the budgets that we're trying to acquire in order to do this. The thing that we need is time, right? So if we prioritize that, and I'm not the director or the deputy director, so like I know those guys have a hard job and they're trying to figure it out. So like I'm not saying I have the answers, but the priority is just protecting people, hiring. And if we just do that, it'll take some time. Mm-hmm. But on the backside of it is how many people we hemorrhage. And we're hemorrhaging them before they're not making it to the end of the careers. A lot of people are leaving. They're leaving their careers right when they can, or we're hemorrhaging them right before we send them to big details. That was when I left. That was the problem. I don't know how they're resolving that, because you have an inflow of people, and then you got to stop the bleed, right? And we got to keep people somehow. And those are two highly problematic areas, not just for the Secret Service, probably everywhere right now that's looking to hire, but the Secret Service, one, because we are in the public eye, and two, because it is very difficult to hire the right people when you're like, well, we need 1,000 people, So beggars can't be choosers at this point. I'm not saying that they're doing that, but it's like, I'm sure some people hiring are like, well, let's just take these 10 people. They're good.
Well, the pressure cooker of your job is an interesting one too. So I think hiring in general is difficult. I mean, you have to throw the net wider than if you want 5 people, you probably should look at 10. But it's an interesting challenge. And I understand why people are leaving earlier in their career. They have their federal creds, they have their security clearance, and they're working in an occupation that is a pressure cooker from 360, 720 degrees. And they say, I'm infinitely employable in the federal system with what I already have right now. I'm going to do something else.
There's another federal agency that went down to the White House and was passing out business cards to all the uniformed officers.
See, they understood the assignment because they know where to go find their job pool.
And a lot of those guys left.
Dude, federal cred, you know the deal. Federal creds, probably TSSCI clearance. You are infinitely employable in the U.S. government system.
I mean,
and if you're getting burned out, your relationship is fraying, you're not getting to see much time with your kids. And again, this can go back to manpower and time.
That's a big part of it too.
Yeah. How could it not be?
The family aspect of the Secret Service is, they'll say stuff like family first, but there's so many instances. You read one of the things in my book that was like, there's just, it goes back to like, well, it doesn't look good for me if I let you have leave now. So, and you have to manage those two. The mission we have to accomplish the mission. We can't let this stuff happen.
Yep.
But then you have the people. So this is another story. I was the team leader. I had a bunch of kids. I had a kid, he was there for, I don't know, maybe less than a year. He was one of the best, most talented people I've ever had the privilege of supervising in my entire career. And he came to me and he's like, hey man, I'm having problems at home. And I'm like, okay. He told me what it was. And I said, all right, this is what you're going to do. I have to fill these assignments. You can't take leave because there's a blackout period. Like there's blackout periods where people can't take leave unless it's like very special circumstances.
Case by case, yeah.
So I said, I'm going to send you to England and you're going to do a liaison role, which is you're going to liaison with the police there, SAS if they're around, and you're going to take your per diem and you're going to fly your wife out there. This is what you're going to do. He's like, can I do that? I'm like, all those motherfuckers on the detail, and it was for a vice presidential trip, they're doing it too for their wives and girlfriends. So like, I'm telling you to do it. And then when you get back, I will work all your shifts and you can go have your leave, even though it's a blackout period. And he's like, and I'm like, I will figure it out. Don't just fuck you with my, like me working it. I need you to be good. I'll get work out of you. He's like, well, people are gonna get pissed because I'm going to London. Like, you let me handle that. And I got some fire for it. But you know what? I need to accept that to make my guy, one, trust me, two, have a good headspace so he can do his job going forward. And three, we solve all these problems because when you say things like, well, you just keep that at home. That's your problem at home. But you got to do this, or we got to fill a shift. Sorry, that's the way it is. That's when you have to be a real leader, step up, absorb heat. People didn't like that. Like, what's a blackout period? Like, you let me worry about that. I'll work his shifts. I'll work doubles if I had to. It didn't come to that, but and to make decisions. And I know that's like a dumb story, but it's like, if we have that collective mindset, all of us together, there is nothing we wouldn't be able to handle. This stuff wouldn't happen.
It has to occur at the leadership levels all the way to the top.
All the way to the top.
Because what you're talking about is managing essentially an emergency for somebody, which above one level above, I would hope that the relationship exists that either A, those people know what's going on, or they have insight into their own agency and they could realize, yeah, we need 2 to 3x more people so we can actually turn some of these steam gauges off and let the pressure off, cycle through at a healthy, funny term that everybody loves, work-life balance. Yeah, not what my old job came with one of those either. Otherwise, yeah, people are going to eject at the 4-year mark. Or they're going to be presented with a choice by somebody they care very deeply about. You can either change your job or I'm leaving. What do you expect people to do at that point?
There are people that give more to the job than they do to their families.
I would say the majority of them are probably in that case, as well as the job I came from as well.
Some of them are forced to.
The job suffers last.
That's right. That's 100% right. Some of them are forced to. I'm not recommending people just throw their hands up and say, oh, this job's not important. I'm just going to give everything to my family. Because one, you also chose to come to this job,
Yes.
right? You chose to come to this job and then expect to stay home. Did you not hear what I said? Like almost 90 countries and pretty much almost every single state in the continental and OCONUS United States, right? And a lot of those where I didn't want to go, right? And I was on CAT, so I didn't get to go to the Irelands and the Italies. I've never been to Ireland and Italy. All those countries I've never been to, right? To do Ireland and Rome. Can I go to Rome and have a pizza, right? But I've been to like 20 something countries in Africa, and
It's different tourist spots.
And to be honest with you, that's another conversation to have because those were my favorite trips.
Yeah.
After a while, it was like, hey, you're going to Liberia. I was like, yeah, fucking yeah, let's go, right? I can't wait to find a boa constrictor in my room. And
yeah, check your boots before you put them on. It's not that big of a deal.
so, I mean, it happens. But the how we manage everybody, a lot of people give so much to this job, and it is, think about it this way. In the Secret Service, you stand next to the President of the United States of America, not another country. Pick a country. It doesn't matter which country it is. They're not number one. Everybody is number two or lower. Okay? That's the reality of that. If you have an unhealthy ego, I'll talk about this now, and you standing next to that guy, and you're charged with protecting the United States of America, it doesn't matter who it is. What does that do to your ego if it's unhealthy? Because everybody sees you standing there and you're like, yeah, I'm the man. Regardless of whether you save his life or not.
Yeah.
And that starts to seep into your psyche, your identity. It's who you are. Your job is to be that Secret Service agent. Everybody can see you. And when I first started, it was 2004 because there was the campaign for Kerry. And I had to do a site. I was in Newark. I was in the Newark field office for the first few years of my career. And I did a site for John Kerry going to where the old Giant Stadium used to be. And now it's whatever, MetLife. I don't know what it is now. And MetLife, I think. There was a rope line that he was doing. So he was shaking everybody's hand. And I was standing next to him doing the rope line. And on the other side of the rope line were my friends that I went to high school with. And they were like, John? All right. They had no idea.
You're like, I'm working now. We can talk about this.
And all I said was to them, I was like, can I see your hands? Right. And as we're going down, and they were like, just doing this. And they're like, what the fuck? I was like, keep your hands up. And I would just like go down. And then afterwards, they'd all call me and make fun of me. And they were like, he's like, like you still can't tie a tie. And it's like the ego. If your ego is unhealthy and that esteem that you're getting, and like, again, I talk about this because it is a real phenomenon. It's like, I'm the man. And that keeps feeding you, and that's your identity. And then when you take that identity away, you'll do everything that you can to make sure that it doesn't get ripped out of you because it's all you got.
It's confusing who you are with what you do.
Yeah.
And I would say that applies to professional athletes.
Yeah.
I would say, well, it applies to anybody who may receive an oversized amount of attention, scrutiny, good or bad, public eye, whatever it may be. If you tie your beliefs on who you are into what it is you do for a living, at some point, I'm not aware of a job. Well, maybe the job of a parent would be the only one that doesn't expire at some point in time. But everything else that requires a uniform, there will be a time that you hang it up.
And there's also your loyalties change depending on, and I have this discussion with guys and they're like, well, I'm going to do everything I can to walk back through the front door of my house. Like, don't make those promises. If you're coming with me and we're going to Pakistan, right? Your loyalty is to me. My loyalty is to you. It has to be right now. I'm not talking about Cartagena go finding hookers. I'm talking about survival. If we deploy out of that truck, your loyalty and my loyalty has to be to each other. And that way we can guarantee coming back home. And then when you get back home, your loyalty shifts back to your family. Doesn't mean you don't love them.
Mm-hmm.
And you understand exactly what I'm saying.
Yes.
Because and a lot of people are like, well, I'm not going to do that because it's going to affect my family.
You're not, then you may not want to operate in those environments. I understand what you're talking about. Yes.
Maybe then there's another job for you down the street.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's not, and I'm not being negative at anybody who struggles with that, but
it's hard.
It is hard, but look at the demands of the situation that you may be operating in. We'll use the documentary Clear and Present Danger as an example. I've never been to Cartagena, but I've seen that, and they get ambushed in a vehicle.
It's a great scene.
It is a great scene.
For a movie.
For a documentary, let's be very clear. Everything in there, I believe, was historically based. First off, walled in by buses, elevated positions with RPGs and automatic weapons. That would suck. The biggest of dongs you could find. That would be horrible to begin with. And obviously I'm joking for people listening, but the reality of that situation, I'm not intimately familiar with all of your training scenarios, but I would imagine a vehicle ambush with the inability to maneuver or limited ability to maneuver probably shows up at some point in time in your training cycle. If you can't turn off everything but pure violence, aggression, and the mind of a tactician, you're not going to survive that situation. Well, you might. I would say statistically your odds are decreasing the less you can rotate that dial. You have to be able to shift back and forth and have the understanding that that might be the role that you end up serving in. You have to be able to do that. To me, it makes intuitive sense. I'm trying to break it down a little bit for people who don't live in this or come from that world, who are looking at both of us like complete sociopaths right now, because you're not saying be a sociopath.
There's a little bit of that in there.
There is a little bit of that in there, but it more than anything,
it's rational sociopath.
Well, I like the way that DJ Shipley talks about this. It's dials, not switches. You have to be able to adapt to the environment that you are in. And one of the environments that you hopefully are going to go back to is your family setting. You have to be able to dial that back into that as well too. It's way harder to do than to sit here and to talk about. There probably is something a little bit different about people who pursue a tactical career versus those that don't. And I say that without judgment. I don't know if it's good or bad. Hopefully the psychopathy could be kept at the lower end of the spectrum, perhaps.
I think in the tactical world, and being around, going down to Little Creek, Dam Neck, Fort Bragg, anywhere, I've been all over the place. I had this discussion. I was talking to his command sergeant major, and we were talking about our capability, and it was all TTPs and metal and SOPs and stuff.
Hold on. Tactics, techniques, and procedures. Medals are mission essential task lists. Largely, let's call it a 3-ring binder of what you do. SOPs of standard operating procedures. Go.
Right. Yeah. So apologies.
No, it's okay. That's what I'm here for.
But we're talking about that, and it went into like, what do you want to learn? And I was at the tail end now. This is at the tail end, and I'm like, I'll be honest with you, man. What you guys do, and I said, I've stolen so much crap from you guys to implement. But the one thing that impresses me more than anything is how you treat each other. And he just like started laughing his ass off. And he's like, yeah, his exact words were, "This potato gets it," right? And I was like, who are you talking to? Right? Are we being recorded? Right? And that was the conversation. Yeah. And I'll never forget it, because it was a validation as to how I treated everybody.
Yeah.
A good measure of your success as a leader is how much the people to the left and to the right of you believe not only in you, but themselves. And if you do encounter those people with the unhealthy egos, they're the ones that usually they're either threatened by you, or they think that you're going to erase some of their legacy, or they're like, this is a real phenomenon. This is not Secret Service thing. This is like the entire world, right? And doing that, you have to make a choice at some point to do the right thing, to be that heat shield. I say that all the time. You're that heat shield. And sometimes people don't want to hear We just talked about all this stuff. And I talked about at the beginning of the podcast. A lot of people are going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. Is any of that stuff, and I'm not trying to water it down, is any of that stuff wrong? The complacency, is that wrong? You can't, you want to sit here and say that everything was like hunky-dory and perfect and let's Miller time, let's just go have a beer, right? And that's not the case. After action it, find out what you did wrong. Sustains, abstains, it just like keep doing it over and over again. It's never going to be perfect.
Yeah.
But you can strive for perfection.
I was going to say that's the goal, unachievable, but constantly moving in that direction.
And it's okay if you never achieve it. But as a leader, you have to have those hard conversations, not just with your guys. You have to tell the bosses, hey man, kind of fucked up. You're putting us in a bad position. And they're like, how many conversations I've had where it's like, you just do, my favorite is, just go and shave. Because I had a beard a lot when I was on the council team, right? It's like, just go shave and stop asking me about this. And I would push back, and I was the asshole. No wonder like they were mad at me all the time.
How you do these things matter. There are tactful and effective ways to approach your leadership, and there are less tactful and less.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way too.
I've explored deeply the latter, more so probably than the former. But one of the main ones, spoiler alert, don't challenge your boss in public, everyone. If you work for a rank-based organization, your nuts are going to go onto the chopping block and get just smashed to pieces. The how you do it matters. If you really want to have it like in private, pick your time. Chain of command is a lot like a ladder. You need to be able to go up and down it a little bit. You have to know your role, but yeah, you have to be able to. A lot of the times, I mean, let's be honest too, in organizations like this, the boss on paper is the most detached from the boots on the ground.
100 million, I don't know how many more percent we can put on that.
Yeah. You don't know what you don't know.
You think you know.
That's the problem. And that's what I guess I never have been able to understand, because most of these people draw their origins at least from some entry-level position in an organization and probably work their way up. I'm not aware of somebody who was 2 years in that all of a sudden got lifted and shifted and now they're the top, meaning they saw all the things that weren't working well on their way up, but you get to a certain station in life and then...
It's the way we've always done it, Andy.
Yeah, but that doesn't work. Everything
of course
works.
It doesn't work. Those are the deadliest words in law enforcement, right? That's the way we've always done it. And I'm not talking about fixing.
Yeah. My point is, though, when they get to that role, they should know it doesn't work. And they should also know that they don't know everything because they were homegrown in that organization. You know what I mean? You'd see it in the military sometimes, too. Somebody would get a particular job and start acting in a way where you could say, hey, man, do you remember like a year ago when we were complaining about people asking us to do something like this? And oh, by the way, both of us understand where the teeth of the gears aren't aligning because we know how the sausage is made. Why are you acting all of a sudden like you don't know that? You should.
When I was hired in 2002, we were talking about hiring more people.
Yeah.
It's 2026.
Yeah, and so nobody who's been in that organization should be able to sit there and look at you and say, John, this is the first I'm hearing about being undermanned and overworked. What are you talking about?
There's more nuance than just hire more people, but at the same time,
concept, because they should have lived it, and then they get to a position where they can have an impact, and they say, "Well, I didn't know." Like, you didn't know, or you weren't looking, or are you pretending that you don't know?
It could be a combination.
Sure, like multiple things can be true. Or are you just worried about yourself? Are you looking at the next step for you? Is there nepotism involved? And all of these things can be shades of true. But if you come up inside of the organization, you should constantly be reminding yourself that you don't know everything. So go out there and ask questions. Look around.
The guy who's the program manager for CAT right now, he's got a number written on the dry erase board. And he just, when I would go visit him, he'd just point to it. And he'd be like, I'm not going to stop until we reach that number. And he would tell me, he's like, that's my number one priority other than getting the guys training and, doing our operations stuff. But like, I need to reach that number. And I was like, God bless you. What do you need from me? Well, how can I help you? And he would beat his head against the wall and still does. And the guy who's in charge too, and they're trying to hire more people and that's their goal. And it's an honorable goal. And again, not a Secret Service apologist, but I was on counter assault special operations for 15 years, just in the Secret Service. And I will default to those guys, but I will tell them the truth. But they're doing a good job of just focusing on the things that they need to focus on. Now, they might not get those results for whatever the reasons are. Right? You can talk about the training and the amount of people that are available, right? Because you pull from the agents that we have. If you have 3,000 agents,
the math is the math.
The math is the math. Okay, like there's programs where they're just trying to hire, and I read the comments. Everybody's like, well, they need to hire Delta Force and SEAL Team 6 and whatever. And there are programs that they can pull directly from there, but it takes time. And it's not like you're going to get...
people also have to want to do that. And
also,
it's
they
not
have to want to do
job.
that. And it's a different job.
Yeah.
And it's funny you say that. It's good that you say that. I'm going to say this on... Everybody talks about counter assault team, and they talk about special forces or naval special warfare or SOCOM and
JSOC
and all they say
all
that
the socks.
The counter assault team is not a special forces team. They are not.
Is that what they tell themselves, though, behind closed doors?
I'm telling you.
Do you guys sit there and say, yeah, we're basically CAG Team 6?
If they say that, I'm going to say that you're just, I tried, my profanity is kind of generic. I use the fucks and the shits.
Yeah.
So I was going to say something else. If they say that, they're wrong. Okay. That is not who they are.
It's not who they're supposed to be.
They're not who they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's coming from me. I'm the dinosaur of the counter assault team. They're also not a SWAT team. They are not law enforcement.
Well, you're kind of the president's SWAT team, which is pretty dope.
Not SWAT.
You're either SWAT or you're not. I heard that on another documentary too, also titled SWAT.
Yeah, not. I'm joking. Counter assault team.
Yeah.
They're a bunch of assaulters. They are. That's what they're trained to do.
Isn't it technically in case the president becomes kidnapped? Was that the original intent behind CAT?
That was. It
Yeah.
was originally formed in the 1970s. The guy, the deputy director right now, his father was one of the authors for the counter assault team.
No way.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's kind of like there's a lot of history there. And they were formed around the same time as, I'll send you, there's like a little history pamphlet that talks about this. I'll send it to you. And they were formed around the same time as when Beckwith formed Delta Force.
Okay.
Was listening. And they kind of went in different directions. Obviously we're where we are, and they grew their program, and we are where we are.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of born around the same time in the same conversation. And you could read the whole thing.
Yeah, please do. It's interesting.
And I don't want to say the wrong thing, not because I can't, because I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So, and it was born from there to do exactly that. It was supposed to be a group of people, the agents, that are a bunch of assaulters. That's what they're trained. They're cross-trained in the same fields that Special Forces, Naval Special Warfare, SEAL Team 6, Delta Force, all these guys. They're trained in doing the same things. I stole so much stuff from everybody as an instructor. I learned so much from everybody, then I incorporated it. I retro-engineered stuff to put into what we do and to operate in the environments that we do, the way we do. Obviously, if we go into a war zone, we shift into that role because we're actually with, have you ever worked, when you were overseas, have you ever worked with
when the details would come in? Yeah.
So
then you have tanks.
It's such a different animal.
That's what I'm saying.
Not even tanks, ISRs.
And
right?
Apaches.
And it's like, I used to love the ISRs. I would just like turn to the Air Force guy. I was like, hey, what's going on? And he'd be like, hold on. He'd just open it down.
ISR for people, we're talking about like a Predator Reaper feed. You're looking at, it's an overhead,
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved ATAC.
Yeah.
I lived on ATAC. It was one of my favorite things in the world.
You can go too far on ATAC though, too.
You can. I have my own.
You got to go heads up a little bit. It's like flying an airplane. You can't spend the whole time looking down at the instruments. You got to lift your head up.
No, it was good. I have my own mesh system at home that I run ATAC and teach my daughter how to play.
What is it? It's Android Team Assault. No, Android Team Awareness Kit.
Awareness Kit. Yep.
Yeah, it's a flip down essentially Why did Android get why can't you use an iPhone?
It was open.
That is right. They had to be able to crack it to do it.
Right.
So it's literally called an ATAC system, A being the Android. You'll see it on a lot of modern gear. It looks like they have a cell phone right in front of their heart because, spoiler alert, it's a fucking cell phone that you can flip down.
Yeah, Apple has it now. So like
still got to call it ATAC.
I still call it ATAC.
Apple would work for that though too. The Apple.
No, it's ITAC. You got to have right? ITAC. Yeah.
Of course it is. Of course. Yeah.
So I love that thing. It's basically like Legos. You can do whatever you want with it. You build whatever you want in it, right? And now there's all this crazy stuff where you just flip it down and
it's an amazing situational awareness tool.
That's what it was. And working with so many different units, because when we traveled, we'd go to whatever bumblefuck in the middle of the United States, and if they had the capability, I can just federate my ATAC with them, and then now I can see where the SWAT teams were. I can see, right? I can move them around, and when I had the time to do it, again, like you said, my face wasn't buried in my phone; it was looking forward. This is also a whole conversation about looking down and looking up, but and then to work with the military when we would go overseas. Any OCONUS trip that we had, if I had that, I could federate it with, and I say use the word federate for lack of a better word. That means like we're just joining our systems together,
like data sharing.
So we can see each other, right? And it gave me the ability to embed into those units so that we can do what we had to do. And the amount of awareness and the amount of stuff that I learned, not just to be able to run that, but how other assault units work, Ranger battalions. We went to Afghanistan one time, and I had the second with us. I loved, it was awesome because we were rolling through something, and one guy flipped down his phone. He's like, "Don't worry, it's all taken care of." And I was like, "That's the kind of shit I'm talking about. I owe you a beer, right?" and it's one of my favorite things that I miss right now. It's the communications. I loved communications. Leadership, communications, because all the firearm stuff and the tactics, if you just see it for what it is and don't overcomplicate it, you're good at it.
Yeah.
Then step up the communications. We created this communicator role that was like, literally we would plug into local infrastructures when we travel. So we would plug into so-and-so SWAT team, and we were able to talk to the SWAT team on their frequency because we were plugging into their systems. And again, all this stuff is not something that you don't know about. I'm saying it for the camera. But we retro-engineered a lot of stuff from the military to be able to enhance our capability. That's the kind of stuff I loved doing when I was on CAT. I loved it to just keep innovating and pushing forward. And by doing that, you piss a lot of people off. The innovation in the government is like, people don't want to say change. Change is like the kiss of death. Basically just like, you're going to be public enemy number one.
Well, it depends if the person you're talking to's budget line item is associated with the change you're asking for.
A lot of the changes that I did didn't cost much or anything.
Yeah. Hard for people to see, though, when oftentimes their position is directly tied to their budget, therefore authority, and things of that nature. Do you think it's hard for the guys? I mean, I'm going to have to ask you to conjecture a little bit for the guys that you work with. They do travel around, for people who don't know, and you're working with all the tier 1 units, tier 2, all the units. You're wearing largely the same gear, carrying largely the same stuff, doing largely the same thing. But you get to go and train with all these units who then get to go get reps overseas for real, and your guys don't get to. Is that tough?
It is rough. And I stole this word from one of the guys, being kinetic. Okay.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Element. I have been talking about these guys for years. Very thankfully, I am good friends with Rob Wolf, one of their co-founders. So he exposed me to this project early on, and the product as well. What's the best way to describe this? Non-scientific, not a doctor. I call this stuff magic in a can if you're getting there ready to drink, or a little satchel or sachet, depending on the medium that you are going to consume it from. A lot of people think with Element it's just salt, but that's not the case. It's 1,000 milligrams of sodium and 200 milligrams of potassium and 60 milligrams of magnesium. And now they even have a lemonade iced tea that comes with all of that and 50 milligrams of caffeine. As I mentioned, you have some choices. They have a sparkling 16 ounce, which is going to give you that 1,260 respectively that I talked about. Then they have their 12 ounce, which is going to give you 500, 130. Different flavors across those. For the 16, you're going to have watermelon, citrus, and black cherry lime. And on the 12 ounce, you get the black cherry again, but then pineapple salt, which is my hands down favorite, lemonade salt, orange salt, and of course the variety pack for both of those. I throw one of those ready to drinks into my jiu-jitsu bag every day, but in December, we're getting ready to go back to Costa Rica again. And I take at least one of these boxes, the 30 count of the individually packaged salt, if not 2, and it's 1 to 3 per day, depending on what we're doing. These things absolutely keep you feeling like you're still alive as opposed to feeling like you're dying. Head over to drinklmnt.com/clearedhot. That is drinklmnt, Lima Mike November Tango. It'll show you everything that they have to offer, and you're going to get a free sample pack as well, because you may have never tried this product. You might not know what you like, and that's a good way to expose yourself. drinklmnt.com/clearedhot. Back to the show.
This is what makes us different. We're not going to get tested every single day.
Hopefully
Okay?
ever. For
Hopefully
clarity. I hope
ever.
it never happens, but
There's the people that are like, well, I want it to happen just to see how we do. I'm like, no, bro. Wrong. Cool story, bro. Right? And I don't wish it upon any of those people because I love them all. I love the ones that still know me. I love the ones that don't know me at all. And like past, present, future, I love them all. I always will. That's the program that I grew up in. So I want them to succeed and be the best that they can, even if they don't love me back. That's like how I view them. You have to understand though, the reps can be every single motorcade that you're in. This is how I exhausted myself. As we were going through motorcade, and I would play these games sometimes where I would take one of my guys that I was training, I would sit him in my seat, and I would sit behind him. And he's like, I don't want to do this. And it wasn't motorcade. I assessed how severe it was.
You're picking your time and place. We used to do this stuff all the time, by the way, too.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
And I would sit there and I'd say, what do you see? And I would teach them how to drive. The driver was listening. I was like, do you want to be closer or further? Do you want to be on the left or the right? Are we on the X or outside the X? Should we be on the X or outside the X? And we would just go down, and I was training them how to think. I did this all the time. And not only did it train them how to think, it trained me how to think. After we did it hundreds of times, those were reps, real time, without having the limo stopped. Mm-hmm. By the way, that thing is very difficult to stop.
There might be a video of that being high-sided somewhere. Okay. And
so
it's a little bit stuck.
So I remember you asking about that. I remember you asking about that, and I was like screaming at the freaking TV when I was watching it. But those become the reps, and the reps are also, did you brief today? And I know this is dumb. Did you brief? Did you do all your pre-comms checks? Your pre-combat, pre-comm checks? Did you do them all? As you go through all that, and I used to do pre-comms checks, and then I'd always, and everybody knew too. After a certain point, they're like, he's going to test us to see if our shit is working. And if we got somebody scabbed out to us, it'd be like, stump, right? And you'd have to, you do the same thing. You key up and you'd be like, stump, and everybody thumbs up, and you go around and make sure everybody's talking. And then the new guy, invariably it'd be on the wrong frequency. It wasn't coded. That means you didn't have the whatever
crypto coded,
right? And or you didn't have it on. And I was like, hey man, if I deploy you out of the truck, and it was a learning point, and it started to elevate our floor. I can't simulate a firefight for you, but I can make you as close to possible and let you know that I take this shit for real every day. Put those people in the positions of leadership. And by most part, cat guys all think like this for the most part. I mean, in every tactical team, there's always going to be those couple of guys that you're like, I don't know how you're still alive, bro. But
totally.
But the cat guys think like that because they are the ones that solicit this type of world. I know it's a hard ask to have everybody with that mentality without being kinetic every day, those reps become so much more important because you're in the motorcade and you know what the limo does. You know what the shift does. The people, the suit and tie guys that are running around. And
yes, Michael.
there it is. This is Ireland?
I believe it is.
Is this Ireland?
I think so.
And
Listen, the answer here is a 2x4. All right, let's just get it under the tires. We'll just back it up. That's
I'm not even going to talk about it.
I mean, the reality is this. That's a very long vehicle that's very heavy, and that driveway has an apex to it, and the two mathematically didn't work out well.
And in the service's defense, that wasn't the limo.
Fair enough.
That's the spare. So the limo just...
That's fine. If you guys don't want to get reps in on your spare, that's fine, and it's not a big deal.
So
it is a hard ask for the guys. You know what's harder? Or would be harder, and this is an easy one to dismiss because they'll say it's never happened. Well, it's happened one time. Standing in front of Congress and explaining why the president is dead.
Oh, buddy, we have that. We say that all the time. And go back to Kennedy.
That's the right. Yeah. Well, I should have said Abe Lincoln, but I don't think the Secret Service was what it was back in the day of Abe.
It wasn't. We started after McKinley.
Yeah. And
it was unofficial for a while. It was signed into law. I remember like 1912-ish or something like that.
Before our time. We're old, but not that old.
I'm pretty old. But in my class, my jiu-jitsu instructor, he's always like, when were you born, 1812? I'm like, come on, man, give me a little credit.
Let me do old man jiu-jitsu and lay on people. It's pretty awesome.
So, and then moving past McKinley, they never showed us the Zapruder film in training.
How's that possible?
See, you came to the same reaction that I did.
Oh, and did they just
this is basic training? I'm talking about.
Did they assume that you had seen it previously? Did they reference it?
We saw Reagan a million times.
Yeah.
We saw a bunch of other stuff like Shevardnadze and like all that, right?
Okay.
They didn't show us the Zapruder film. Now, to this day, and I tell every single Secret Service agent to read the Warren Commission. And you don't have to read the whole thing because it's like 1,000 pages and you want to kill yourself afterwards because most of it's boring.
It's very dense.
But just read the part that's about the Secret Service. Because we must know what we did then as opposed to what we do now. This is like after action reports. And if I hide the names and the dates and I'll ask you, like, did we learn from this? Now, born from that was that limo that needs to get over that lip over there, right?
He probably was the last president who rode around in an uncovered car, wasn't he?
They have other cars that were like that. It's hard for me to imagine the situations that they let the presidents ride in those. And that was like the lesson, because look, and like mass shootings started in the 60s. What was that then in that tower in Texas?
Yeah,
it was a school, right? That's when that started, mass shootings. Now it's like on a Tuesday, you're like, all right, none? All right, good. We're good today. Let's move on. So,
I mean, the FBI, I believe, counts it as anything involving more than 4 people. So
now everybody wants to go back to conspiracy theories and they talk about the JFK and I don't have enough evidence to say that it was a conspiracy theory. And if there is a conspiracy theory, again, just like Butler, the shooter on back, is there enough information to figure out backwards? Because then you're able to see, well, who's trying to kill this guy? You can do the same thing today with Butler, moving backwards. You can do the same thing with, what's that guy's name in, the guy who was at Mar-a-Lago and had the SKS against the fence, right? Whatever his name was, he just got life in prison a couple months ago. And then it's like, look at their backgrounds and don't stop looking at them because I believe that it's deeper than that. The idea for that, they didn't just come up with that on their own, sitting in their mom's basement and just being like, you know what? I'm going to buy an assault rifle, climb on the roof and try to kill the president. That's where the conspiracy, I believe that there's more, this Occam's razor may or may not apply there.
Yeah. I think it's possible. I don't know the plausibility of it.
Not everybody.
Yeah.
Not everybody just decided to do this on their own. and then there's the propaganda, and then there is like, it goes back to like our inhibitions are being lowered. So we're able to indulge in like, I'm angry, I'm going to hurt people. And it's usually the people that come to the White House who do get into shootings and stuff. A lot of them, if not all of them, have mental illness, right? They have something they're not thinking right. How that mental illness manifested, it's case by case basis. That's the majority of the people that go to the White House that are look at the kid that just got shot. He pulled a gun out of his bag, right? And he thought he was God at one point, right? That's not normal. And then you have other people that show up that are looking for suicide by cop. Okay, that's like a real thing. So they might have been that guy. I don't know. I feel bad for the guy. Also, I feel bad for our people that are being put in that situation. But I also feel bad for the people that are showing. Everybody's like, oh, just kill him, burn him down. That's the wrong answer, also. And then you have all of the Butlers and the Mar-a-Lagos and whatever the case might be. All those people. There's something wrong there where you're looking to do what you're trying to do. Okay. And, a lot of people will be like, they think whatever they think they're of the reason they're looking for a reason to justify themselves, like we were talking about. But when it's all said and done, mental illness, it's like 90 something %.
Yeah. Agreed. Did the allure of working near the president in the White House ever wear off? Did it ever just become the backdrop of where you worked?
Yep. I say to this day, if I met Trump right now, because he's the president, or Obama or Biden, which I've met all these guys, or Bush, all the presidents that are around, I'd be like, all right, nice to meet you, sir. Thank you for, your presidency. And I don't care, right? I don't care. I'll get more. I'm trying to think of somebody that I would be starstruck by. I think for me, the one, I don't care. After seeing the president millions of times, I say millions, but probably
thousands.
I want to say, it's like tens of thousands. I would just go to, and it would be my assignment. It didn't matter if it was Trump or it didn't matter if it was Hillary, because we still did things with the formers, or a special assignment. Right, one of the family members. I didn't care. It was like, I'm going to keep this person alive.
I think that's the headspace you need to have anyway. It should be pretty apolitical if you're in that job.
And all I was thinking was, I would walk into a venue and they're eating somewhere. I'd start knocking on the walls to see what they're made of. I would just go around. I'd have my where I'm going to throw them. I had my hard rooms. I had this. I had that. I start going through all my checks. Right, that was the first thing that I did. It was like being a machine. You just did it, and then afterwards they're like, all right, now I'm ready. I have my plan. I brief myself. I brief my guys. Then you do a Ranger handbook. You take a third of the time for yourself, and you brief everybody else. And then I was ready to go. And I didn't care who it was. I just escalated and de-escalated depending on obviously the president gets so many assets. And when I was, Prime Minister of Belgium, not as many assets. So my plan would change depending on what it was and what I was capable of, the team that I had, what assets that I had, et cetera, right? We can go on forever. And that to me taught me a lot about just being a professional, a capable professional, just being professional, or this is the word we throw around, but capable professional, because I'm trying to do my job and be good at my job. I can explain to you whatever situation that you want. We can talk tactics, and I'll tell you exactly why and the principles behind it. And it's almost like some guys would learn a tactic and try to force that tactic into the situation. And I would just turn around and be like, what's the situation? And I'll tell you what the principle that we need to have behind the situation. Now I'm going to choose the tactic that best helps me accomplish my goal. To be able to think like that, escalate and de-escalate that. And I would just do it. It was just like the way my brain worked. Everybody would be like, we're going to form a perimeter here. I said, why? Are you pre-positioning yourself in an enemy sector of fire right now? The firing hasn't started. Why are we forming a perimeter? And we need to fall back and do this. And they just look at me like I punched them in the teeth. And I'd be like, no, give our guys the best chance to succeed. So These are things that I wish I had more time to teach people the way to think, because I had my plans quickly. They were like, I would just do it. If I had 10 minutes to make a plan, this is how I would make a plan. If I had days to make a plan, then I can get a good show going, because I had days to prepare for all this bullshit you're going to throw at me. But that way of thinking, instead of just turning around and deciding, well, who do I have? Well, he might not like this or he might not like that. I don't care. I'm going to drag his ass down the stairs, and he might be mad at me afterwards. I had one person that...
A protectee?
Yeah, a protectee. I'm not going to say the person's name. Read into that as much as you want, right? But I had one person, we were leaving a venue. I was a new agent, and I was the lead agent, and it was like late at night. I was still in Newark. You can do the math and figure out who it is. I have this internal thing where I'm not going to throw people under the bus, but I got to tell the story. And we left this venue, and I was in a state trooper car, New Jersey State Police. I love them. They're awesome. And we left, and I'm writing down, because we didn't have cell phones back then. I'm writing down the departure time. And from the time I took to look down, to look back up, I just said, bro, you're on the wrong side of the road, right? So we're doing a motorcade on oncoming traffic. That was late at night, and the cars were all the way, there were no cars on the road, which that's why he made the mistake, because it was dark.
Yeah.
And he didn't see the turn, and there was no cars, no lights. It wasn't, I could see how you could.
I could see that. I've made that mistake 0 times in my life.
So, right. So he's like, want me to turn around? I'm like, nah. And I reached down and I flipped the lights on, right? Because we didn't have the lights going.
Yeah.
Because it was a little motorcade. It wasn't that big. And there were lights, but they were like 200 yards down. I could see them. At some point, the concrete barrier between just ended, and we could hop over to our lane. Cool. Done. Nobody needs to know. The only people that know are the people that are listening to this, right? And this was 20 something years ago, right? Again, no phones, no ATAC. Okay. Yeah. We get to the airport, and I get out of my car. The protectee knew exactly where the lead agent sat, and just turns around and sees me, just like seething hatred, right? And it's like, oh my God, not you again. Because like they're like, turns around to the detail leader and is like, fire him, right? Just storms up the stairs of the plane. I just stood there and I just like shrugged my shoulders. I don't know what the hell I was doing, right? But I was trying to solve the problem that was created. It wasn't that big of a problem. That was the only time anybody wanted to fire me that was a person that was protected. So everybody else, they'd always stop, thank. They all know we're there for them.
Yeah.
So
the one thing that surprises me about the White House, and I hate to break people's illusion of how awesome that place can be, is the rat problem.
The rat problem.
Why can't
stray
that
cats,
be solved?
Those things are huge.
You would think the cats and the rats would find an equilibrium. I happened to be walking around the grounds in the evening, kind of getting a tour, and my God, on the north side, right in the little bushes, just go ahead and look at the bushes. There's a lot of things moving around in there. What the hell, dude?
I don't know. It's there was a bobcat at one point.
No way.
There was a little, I say bobcat, it had the lynx ears,
yeah,
and the stubby tail, and it was the White House bobcat. And we would see it all the time. After a certain point, that thing didn't even care that there were people. It would just come out. People would like throw food at it.
Yeah, that's why it would come out.
And that's why it would come out. And it was the bobcat. And like the last few years, I didn't see it. I hope it somebody maybe took it home, or maybe it was just old. There was a White House bobcat.
They needed to take care of the rats. It's insane.
They're probably still there. Not probably. They're still there.
They're 100% still there. They need to take care of that for sure. What would you want people to know about a career in the Secret Service outside of it that you think that they miss about that job or they don't understand?
It is, I'm going to beat a dead horse, it's a difficult job. I want all the men and women in the service to succeed. And most of them do, because they're great. the kids, I call them kids, but relative, right? When I'm 25 years older than you, I can call you a kid. They try so hard to make sure that this stuff doesn't happen. The people that are coming into the service, if you want to be successful, you have to come in with the mindset that you're going to give a lot to that job. And by giving a lot, being part of a team, not an individual where you can steal authority, responsibility, opportunity from people, and then you become a kiss ass and because that's a real thing, right? And you are looking to just enhance your resume. You can do that and maybe you'll get what you want, but you won't be good at your job. You'll just be stealing opportunities from everybody. There are some people that can do both, but it's like that having somebody, what's that chart? The loyalty versus the performance, right?
I don't know if I've seen that
Yeah,
chart.
you have a high performer and his loyalty to the organization is, you have a high performer, the loyalty to the organization is low. And then you have a low or mid performer.
But loyalty is probably high.
But his loyalty is super high. I can take that guy who's not so great and elevate him. That high performer that's only there for himself, that's who's going to be a detriment to everybody around him. Maybe he becomes a supervisor. And I will say that not everybody in the service can become the director. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, even mathematically.
That's why I say that, because it's a ridiculous comment to say like, oh, you're all going to be the director.
Well, it siphons down to one individual person.
It's just one guy.
Yeah.
Not everybody can be the deputy director or the assistant directors or however it's structured. I don't know why we chose like the words that we use to designate everybody, because for the first like 5 years I was confused. And so to be a subject matter expert in the service is also a thing. You want to talk about counter assault stuff, I'm your guy. I'll sit there and talk to you until the end of days, and we can talk about every single venue, scenario, motorcade, whatever you want. We can talk about it. I'll tell you exactly my thoughts on it, but I have an answer, a consistent answer, and I could probably train whoever to do whatever. That was me. It was like 15 years doing that. Other people believe that the more you bounce around in the service, the more you're quote unquote well-rounded. That's great if you want to go to headquarters and be an administrator and know how your decision affects the field office as much as it affects the division, the operational protective division. So if you pull bodies from, I say bodies, I hate saying that, and I said it, you pull people from one place to the other, how it affects one, because it's like there's always a give, there's always you're always making a sacrifice somewhere. But it's like having the military and having everybody be an officer.
Doesn't work.
That doesn't work. So you need to have people coming into the organization. And if you want to be good at something, maybe it's just cybersecurity, because we do that. They're great at it. They're good at it. And be good at that. And then if you want to endeavor to move up and be a director, assistant director, whatever the case might be, that's great. Be good, be great at something. That way you can teach a pocket of people instead of having everybody that just jumps around every 2-3 year and a half. Now I think to be a supervisor, you can get your first supervisory position, and then the rule now is 12 months and then you can move on to something else. It's hard for you to learn, make an impact, and not make decisions that you're just worried about your next step if you're just going to be there for 12 months knowing that you're going to leave.
I mean, you have to get up to speed, figure out how to drive it, and then offboard to somebody else.
That's right.
Yeah, I would say 12 months is where you're using your eyes and ears a lot more than your mouth, trying to figure out what the hell your job is.
If you're smart about your position, that's true. So, and they adopted that. I don't know what agency or if it's a DHS thing, they adopted that. And now it used to be you needed to do 2 first-line supervisory positions. So you do one, you do another. I was a supervisor on CAT for 5 years. So first-line supervisor, team leader, operations supervisor, when I got in trouble, I did a bunch of other stuff too. And I got in trouble a lot. But like I learned so much within the purview of being in the Special Operations Division. And when somebody, my replacement one time had to do something, and it was the trip that, I don't want to even say the trip was, somebody comes downstairs, because I was still in the building, because I was in the dignitary position. So this is like 2 years, my last 2 years, I moved to the Dignitary Protective Division. I did a lot of the presidents and prime ministers that would come from OCONUS, like all these foreign diplomats. So they come down and like, hey, we can't figure out how to link up with the special forces team that's going to be assigned to us for whatever the visit is. And I was like, well, like, where's my replacement, my operations supervisor? They're like, he's not answering his phone right now. We got to get the guys out there. So I'm like, I take my personal phone and I just look up the number and I write it down and I slide a piece of paper over. I'm like, call that guy. Tell him I said it's me, and he'll link you up with the right people. Like, how do you know this? I'm like, he's the major over the team that's going to be working with you. And they're like, how do you know that the special forces team that's working with us? I go, oh, because that guy came down and I wrote the letter for him so he can request it. So they can only be those people. So they went upstairs, and in 5 minutes, everybody was linked up. So the institutional knowledge of that, to know who to call, why, where, when, et cetera, is something that you can't replace by being there for 12 months and then moving on to somewhere else.
No, not even close.
And I solved their problem in 5 minutes. And again, it's like, not to toot my own horn. It was something that anybody in my position that was there long enough would have known to do the same thing. And you have to have subject matter experts to teach people how to do, not that, you can make a connection with anybody, to teach people, hey man, how do we think? How's this? How can we move the program forward? And the guys who are in, and I say CAT because, like, again, I love those guys and I know the people that are there. Like, they're all my friends. They're all great people. They've been there for a long time and they're pushing things forward. If you look at the Correspondents Dinner, the gear alone that those guys have now compared to when I started is light years ahead. And they keep advancing and advancing and learning and advancing and learning and advancing, because that's who they are. They want to be great at their job. And it's a place of innovation. CAT, Special Operations. You know this, right?
Mm-hmm. Does it cascade down to the frontline?
Sometimes.
That was one of the cool things about being a development group, is that it actually was a developmental location where you could get your hands on stuff that wasn't on the ANU or authorized for naval use, which you're limited to largely if at a SOCOM level, so a tier underneath JSOC. But you would test stuff that would show up in the hands of other people by design and doctrine in 12 to 24 months, which was pretty cool.
I think the volume of how developmental group is situated allows you to do that.
Well, it was designed with that purpose. Yeah.
And for us, and there's not enough of us to do that for other divisions. We develop stuff within and incorporate stuff. And then if the other divisions think it's a good idea, or maybe they want to adopt it too because it's working for us, then they'll take it.
I mean, little things, even just from gear. As an example, lightweight standalone multi-strike plates.
Yeah, and most of the gear that's propagated across the entire Secret Service has come out of the Special Operations Division.
Okay, so there is that's essentially what it was.
Yeah, you just have to have the right people who are willing to not be like, well, no, we've used the same IFAC kit for the last however many years. We're just going to stay there. I'm like, yeah, well, et cetera, et cetera. This is the capabilities of this. We just bought 10,000 units. And there's budgetary stuff too.
Yep.
But at the same time, it's like the forward movement. I love when people push the envelope.
Same.
I love when people try to innovate, and sometimes it's at their expense. And that's where I call them the heat shield. It's like, hey, there's going to be people that will be mad at you. Sometimes it's because they're trying to preserve their position. They're trying to preserve their legacy. They're threatened by you, whatever the case might be. So you're going to absorb all this heat, but everybody behind you will be fine. It's honorable.
That's the role of the leader, I use the term umbrella, especially if you have a dog shit leader over you, which I'm sure never happened to you.
Never, ever, ever, ever.
It's only in the teams where sometimes there's bad leaders. The number of times I've gotten that question publicly, personally, email, DMs, what do you do if you have a shitty boss? It's like, first, buddy, you got to survive. But then really, if you want to be the leader that you want to see from other people, you have to protect everybody else underneath you.
You have to protect people beneath you.
You become the umbrella.
And you also have to lead up.
Yeah, that's why I said it's more like to me than a ladder than it is. A lot of people will say leadership is like a waterfall. Waterfalls don't go both directions. I'm not saying you should climb every ladder, but the ability to peek your head up there and say, hey, I had a suggestion for the suggestion box, even though I know you're not asking for them. And again, tactfully, don't do what I've done before, which is challenge the boss
I'm right there with you.
At the morning meeting, which I was told to shut the fuck up. And then as soon as the meeting ended, I was told to report to their office. Why'd you start getting in trouble, John?
Which time?
How long had you been in before you started getting in trouble?
I got in trouble a lot.
For little things or big things?
Both.
What were some of the bigger ones? Give me the wave tops.
So this is the story. This story I reference in the book. I don't just say what it is. And I got in trouble because two people took my rifle and they wanted a photo op. My rifle was pristine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was.
How did they have access to your rifle?
I just gave it to them. We were at the range, and they wanted. It was other cat guys, and they shot it. They were doing full auto mag dumps through it and try to get the flame come out of the front.
Historically, really good for the service life and accuracy of weapons.
So I got it back, and I had to. I'm doing the short version. I had to do surgery on it to take the suppressor off before, because it changed colors, right?
Yeah, for people who don't know this, suppressors, if you really get on the old go button, sometimes you don't need a flashlight because they can start to glow.
There were multiple mags that went through it.
Yeah.
And before I realized what was going on. So I took two rifles, put them together, and I live on a subdivided farm, and I did a function fire. My neighbors were firing their guns too, so it wasn't.
I mean, you're basically doing a surgical repair of the pieces.
Yeah, I used to do when I was an instructor. I rebuild rifles all the time.
Yeah.
And I function fired it. I fired like 3 rounds. I looked at it. I inspected it. I fired 3 or 4 more rounds. I was satisfied. I cleared it, made safe. I had a little berm that I made. It was like, I would say like 5 to 7 yards, right? Because it's like, I never shot my stuff on my property.
Yeah.
So
you're talking government issue stuff.
My government issue stuff.
Yeah.
And this is the problem, right? And my neighbors are firing. It sounded like the Punisher lived next door. So I was like, all right, put it away. I'm like, I'm good. And I was trying to be prepared to go to work. And 45 minutes later, police rolled up my driveway, which is like...
We're talking about like a black and white?
Yep. Like, my driveway is like 50 yards off the road. So it's not like, it's not a house that... And again, subdivided farm, there's acreage, and then my property backed up to woods that went on for a while before, right? So and then my neighbors are firing as the police officer standing in the driveway. There's 2 of them. And they're like, oh, we're here for reports of gunfire. And I just looked at them and I said, it was me. And they're like, are you sure? Are you sure it's not the next doors? I was like, also them.
Is this like a subdivision? Why is gunfire not okay?
It is a subdivided farm, and there's gunfire all the time. There's gunfire the day before I left to come to Montana.
So then who called it in?
That's a whole story that I'll just leave that. But in the end of the day, the person who called it in doesn't like cops, ironically, and basically said that I was murdering my family. And that's why the police showed up. So I was swatted is basically what it was, right?
Didn't you have like something you could have shown them to let you know that you're law enforcement?
I did.
And maybe handle this issue?
I did.
Okay.
Oh, the person who called or the police?
The police who show up.
Oh, yeah. I identified myself immediately. So they knew I was a Secret Service agent because the person who called them said I was a Secret Service agent, and then I murdered my family. So
what a doucher.
Oh, yeah. There's a whole other story to that. But what ended up happening was I called my supervisors first. I said, hey, I'm going to self-report.
Yeah.
Because I don't like this. My kid's riding her bike in my driveway. My wife comes out. She's got a dress on. She's like, are we going to eat? Like, what's going on? And supervisor comes in, everybody leaves. There's no charges or I didn't give it up for anything. They had an internal report that they have to provide. And when I showed up on Monday, I got my ass kicked by the supervisors. So
For use of your government issued firearm at your home?
And there was a whole bunch of, it wasn't you just said it. I stood my ground. I didn't handle it the way I should have. There was a lot of go to hells and a lot of stuff like that going on. But it's like one of those situations where I was good at my job, but they just believed they wanted people to move on. So this was a good excuse for them to get me in trouble. And the exact words from one of the supervisors was, "I got you now." Those are his exact words. So that was like kind of a catalyst for a lot of stuff for me, because I was like, you guys do what you got to do. And I got up and just walked out on them. And again, for anybody that's listening, that is not the way to handle that. Their minds were going to be made up one way or the other.
You don't have to help them, though.
I don't have to help them. I don't have to make it worse. But from that, I learned a lot. And I learned a lot about myself, my integrity. And like, I self-reported, man. You wouldn't even know if I didn't call you. Maybe you would, I don't know, like, right? But I called you to tell you, and you treated me like crap. So I learned a lot about them. I learned what their true nature was. I learned what their agendas were. I learned about and it was just a cascade of effects. And the fact that I told them to go fuck off, it made things infinitely worse. And it sent me into a spiral, and it also it exposed them for who they were. But I fought back, and I was suspended for 2 days because of that. But the suspension was like, I told them, I was like, I'll give you 30 if you just let me just go back to work. I didn't care about the suspension. I mean, like, you can suspend me for 30 days. I just want to go back to work because I love my job.
And how could you be suspended and at work?
I'm sorry?
Wouldn't you have had to take 30 days off?
Oh, yeah. I would take 30 days off because it took a while to get to the suspension, and I was just...
Oh, did they bump you from the CAT team because of this?
They held me back, and I wasn't allowed to work until the situation was resolved.
Does your house have a basement?
Yeah.
Have you ever put your suppressor on? And
it won't work down there.
No, I'm just saying in a hallway you could get like 5 to 7 yards for some groupings.
Yeah, it wouldn't work down there.
I haven't done it either. I was just curious if you had.
No, that's like I'm trying to rationalize it in my head.
I'm just saying you have your own little bunker. Just creative solutions to real world problems that exist.
I think in the future I would have. I mean, it was a rough situation to be in because there was time exigency involved in everything, and it was one of those things. I am a risk taker and a rule breaker. I am. It's like it's built into my DNA, and I do take a lot of risks. And that was a risk because I wanted to be prepared. I could have gone to work with a rifle, not knowing what the hell it was going to do, because we had to throw the upper away and rebuild the lower when it was all said and done of my original rifle. And
what do you think they would have said if you would explain that to them?
I did.
What'd they say?
They didn't care.
As somebody who's in a leadership role and who's had teams of people working underneath you, do you want risk takers and rule breakers?
Yes.
To what degree?
You know what your left and right lateral limits are and operate within them. If you break the rule, you have to know the rules first. If you know the rules first...
I'm so happy that you said that, because there's a difference between knowing what the fuck you're doing and making shit up on the fly. So my helicopter instructor is a huge fan of this, because he'll say, you always do this, you always do this. And so I'll get into this rote habit of doing it, and we'll be in a phase, it's usually an airspeed related thing. And perfect example, you got to get into the green before you make your downwind turn, because it has to do with the height velocity, and it gives you the ability to have an out. And one time we're taking off, and he goes, yeah, just turn downwind. And I said, dude, we're not into the green yet. And he literally took a breath. He goes, he was smiling because he was glad I knew the rule. But then he said, once you know the rule,
now you know how to break them.
Well, what he actually said was, there's a difference between knowing the rule and knowingly breaking it and not knowing what you're doing. So if you're going to break a rule, you need to know it first and the potential consequences that can come from it. That's the difference between risking and gambling.
Oh my God, it's just literally my exact same word, like the way I describe everything. We had this is a bunch of situations, and there was a situation where the bosses want us to send extra cat guys and extra rifles to another country, and people are gonna get pissed off when I say this. And I was the operations supervisor, and I said, "Why are we doing this? Why are we sending extra guys with extra rifles? In order to get the rifles into the country, we have to put them on a diplomatic note, and that goes
apply dip courier-man,
right?
Yeah.
And it goes to the embassy, and the country's got to approve it.
Mm-hmm.
So then they'll say you're allowed 10 long guns or whatever it is, right? Okay, cool. At the last minute, when you're like, we're going to send another 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, however many more guns. And I said, why? And they're like, you just do what we tell you. Like, that's not how it works. You're putting my guys at risk. And for this situation, they wanted to do their friend a favor. They wanted to send extra cat guys so we have, whatever the case might be, an appearance of having more people or to do a favor for something. So I said, what's the intel on this? Is the juice worth the squeeze? No, we're not doing it. Or if you want me to do it, put it in writing and give it to me. Because who's going to eat the shit sandwich if we get caught? You know how many times I've been on the tarmac where the host country, they have the customs guys, and I have the weapons and it's on the dip note that he's holding in his hand and the serial numbers all match up, but he's not going to let us in.
Really?
Oh yeah. Because I got to bribe him.
Let's not forget what juices a lot of the, or makes a lot of the wheels turn in many countries overseas.
Right. So when I pull out $50, which is, I don't care.
Can you put that on your expense report though?
Hell, fuck no. Right. But I'll give the guy $50 and he's like, all right, good.
Yeah.
We're all good here. And he's like, what? I'm like, hey man, I can't, more than one hand that's happened where I've had to pay the guy off. And everybody's like, no, that never happens. I'm like, well, I traveled on car planes. I didn't travel on Air Force One, right? I've been on Air Force One a few times. It's usually to go to war zone. But we would travel on I lived on car planes. My frequent flyer miles, I could probably go around the world like 10 times. And when we landed, all the customs guys from whatever country it was, they would always, and there's ways around it. And if I wanted to smuggle stuff into a country, I could do it easily. If you're like, we got to send extra dudes to Afghanistan to do a hostage rescue, like, hey, fuck yeah. Like, I'm going to send you, how many do you need? 10. I'll give you 20 with more guys. Like, we're doing this. Juice is worth the squeeze. If we're doing it for shits and giggles, I'm going to tell you to go fuck yourself.
Or status flex so somebody looks more important.
But that's what it is. So it's like, for me, I would have that conversation and I would just make the decision. I'm like, no, I'm not going to send my guys there. Plus, I have other shit to fill too, right? And it's like, well, just make it happen, John. And like, send it to me in writing. Well, of course, you piss people off. They don't want you around. Because now you know they're dirty laundry too. I didn't bend the knee, which I didn't become one of them. But at the same time, this is the game that you have to play. You can go down this path, but once you bend the knee once and you do what they want one time, they got you forever, especially when it's not documented. And your name is on all the shit, right? And I guarantee you this happens in the government. And that's not the culture of the service. It's just selected people that just wanted what they wanted because they wanted to do somebody a favor because they're going to get promoted out of it or look good or whatever the hell they're going to get out of it. That's real. And if you say it doesn't happen, you're just lying. I just told you it happened. I was firsthand knowledge of it. And these are the kind of things that I would fight against. And I pissed a lot of people off because they're very vocal about it. I'm like, no, what are you talking about? To go to where? And
also, if the requests are legit, just put them all in writing.
Put it all in writing,
That's
man.
All, I mean,
so easy.
It is, and it also there is no more gray area.
I can do an amendment on the dip note. I'll send it to whatever country is, and they'll either approve or deny it.
And that should just be status quo in the policy. It's all in writing.
If it's a country, what's a country that doesn't let guns in? Like, England or UK rather. California. That's it.
But England and UK would be a good example. They have a pointy thing problem though.
Well, that's a whole. They banned zombie weapons. That was in 2000 and I forgot. It's recently.
Yeah.
That didn't help. But they use kitchenized zombie weapons. They're big, the long ones. But if you go, the UK, Japan, countries like that, they don't have a gun problem. And I'm not saying these were the countries, but if you ask me, I'm not saying they're not, if you ask me to send more guns to those places, I'm going to say no unless there's specific intel that says that. Now, if we're in, I'll pick a country, Afghanistan, Iraq, and just at the height of the war, and you want me to send guys there because of whatever the reason, it's like, I got you.
Yeah, but both of those situations, if it's a legitimate request, just put it in writing.
Just put it in writing. And that's the part that drove me crazy. Not because I wasn't going to break the rules, if it was for a good reason. And I broke the rules so much, right? I just told you, I fired my weapon on my property because I wanted to be ready. That was a risk that I took. And it blew up in my face. That's fine. But it puts my guys at risk. And sometimes you want to do what looks cool, but you got to understand when we're able to do this and when we can't, especially the Secret Service that stands next to the President of the United States. Any fuck up that we do brings attention to the president. Look at Cartagena. And I keep bringing that up because it's a good example because we derailed his foreign policy meeting with the president of Colombia. He didn't even leave from the White House. I was in the White House working at midnight when we got notification on our Blackberries, by the way. We had Blackberries then. Remember those things?
Yeah.
They're like the size of my book.
What was the subject line?
It was something like retro flights, right? Because they were sending 12, 13, something like that, people home.
They just had to have a little shift of personnel. And for people who don't know what we're talking about, it can mostly be summed up with Secret Service, hookers, Cartagena.
Just Google that and you'll get the story. And again, so what happens is the trip continued. He shows up and he has to talk about that.
Yeah.
And our director has to talk about that. And just by something dumb, because it was dumb on many levels, we derailed foreign policy.
It's a global stage.
Because it's what it is. And I don't want to say it's different. This is another way that CAT and the Secret Service, but CAT specifically, because again, we are like in a lot of the military, right, in the Navy, Army, the special units, Naval Special Warfare, Special Forces, they're higher regarded than just the general population. Is that true or false? There could be forget the jealousy and all that exists.
I would say definitely regarded for sure because it is a different occupation. I don't know. They shouldn't be more highly regarded. They should just be viewed as something that is, they're different tools. One's a Phillips head, one's the
president's
flathead.
detail in the Secret Service is viewed as the highest, the pinnacle.
I can see that for sure. Yeah.
Because it is, people think Secret Service, they think of In the Line of Fire, right? Clint Eastwood, they don't think of Counter Assault Team.
Yeah.
They do now because of that guy with the watch, right?
Yeah.
I just gave him if you have an Instagram page, you just got another 10,000 clicks. But he has a watch and it's like a cat watch and he was wearing it that day. And nobody knows what the Counter Assault Team is. I like it like that actually, right? We're talking about it here a lot, but that is the majority of my experience is the Counter Assault Team. It's 15 years of me doing all that stuff, traveling around the world. At the end, I did a lot of suit and tie work. When I was in the dignitary pool, I worked with a lot of special assignments and then the foreign dignitaries that came in. And I learned a lot and I loved it. My time in the truck is my most precious time. And I love that too. And I had to separate it from it. My identity had to be removed from it at some point because it was like everything we talked about.
Yeah.
That was me. I was Mr. Cat, right? So we keep going down a rabbit hole, so I don't end up answering the question.
I don't even know what the question was at this point.
Neither do I.
I'm just thinking. I was just listening to you, talking about.
But talking about
we're talking about essentially though. You guys work in a no-fail mission statement on a global stage, that's
what it was.
Which by definition is actually impossible.
It includes, and that's what the question was. Not the question, but the point. a failure in the service, not just a Butler failure. A failure in the service is also the Cartagenas, is also when all these guys are doing, they're making poor personal decisions, and it just creeps up in the news, right? And I'm not talking about operations, because again, the operations of the service, all these kids, they're trying to do their job. And again, tens of thousands of missions that have been successful that people don't even know. Like there's stuff that we've stopped people with guns and stuff that people don't know about. They'll never know about. Those don't count, right? Like we don't count those. We only count the failure, which, to be fair, is bad enough. If we lose one person, it's bad enough. Okay. However, it extends past the operations into the behaviors that we have, because we are so closely tied to the media. It's not like if for something to come out from the military that's so bad that it merits the same level of attention that we get when a guy misbehaves with
like a Green Beret betting on Polymarket on the Maduro raid.
That's bad, right? But
Point being is this, though. You're talking about the same thing. If you, John, were still active and let's say had an incident out in whatever, had a few too many espresso martinis out in Washington, D.C., and you make the news.
Like the Cosmopolitans, right?
Whatever it may be. I'm not here to tell people how to party. If it's you and the news is able to figure out what you do, the headline will read, Secret Service cat agent.
That's right.
Fill in the blank.
That's right.
It's an additional level of scrutiny that comes with the job. And it is unfair, I would say, but the fair's in Iowa with cotton candy and a merry-go-round. If you want to have that job, you have to understand what that means.
You have to understand what you're getting into. A lot of guys that say, well, I could do what I want in my spare time. It's like, okay, cool. And
until you make national news.
Until it happens to you. And there's a difference between, and I'll say this, like me getting into trouble was always because I was looking to do my job. The thing with the gun, I was looking to be prepared. I wanted to step out of the truck and shoot somebody if I had to. And I didn't want to wait for it to go click and be like, oh man, I should have function fired it. Right? When I got in trouble, I passed ammo to the wrong division one time, not realizing they wanted to go train. And I got in trouble for that. And they were like, hey man, you don't give ammo here because of whatever the round counts, et cetera. And I was like, oh, I didn't know. It was like, boom. You know, it was like, and I didn't get suspended or anything, but it was my boss kicked my ass, right? And I would get in trouble repeatedly for trying to do my job or help the people around me. I never had a Cartagena, hookers, alcohol. I'm a terrible drinker, so the alcohol thing is not going to happen, right? Like I just told you, Cosmopolitans, I don't even know what they taste like, but I want to now that I said that, right? But like
Michael would know.
Right?
You drink Cosmos, don't you, Michael?
I've actually never had one.
It's surprising to hear, but I would have assumed.
My wife knows I like fruity drinks, like Crushes and stuff. So she's like, I drink beer too, but getting older. Anyway, going away from the alcohol, it was me trying to do my job. I wasn't trying to solicit hookers. I wasn't trying to steal money from the agency. I wasn't trying to do any of that stuff that benefited me personally in those kinds of ways. And there's a distinction there that if you find people, and again, I love every military, law enforcement, first responder manual on the planet says if you're not getting into trouble, you're not trying hard enough, right? And I'm not talking about, like, again, all this outside of the service behavior that comes back to bite you in the ass. I'm talking about trying hard in your job. You got to try hard in your job, innovate, push the envelope forward, emerging threats, emerging trends in what enemy tactics. And when you turn around and you say, hey, we need to do this, and you get in trouble because you're trying to implement a new program, I applaud you. I don't know how legitimate it might be. Maybe you're trying to do something that's not possible. There were some good ideas that I remember people trying to do. And I'm like, you haven't thought this through, but, and we had to have conversations, but they were trying to be better. They were trying to enhance our capability. In the government, it's hard to do that. One, in a service, there's like the time factor. We don't have enough people. We got to test stuff. You can't. My favorite ever was we rolled out a new communication system during an NSSE. It was during the State of the Union back in, I forgot what year it was.
You guys chose to change operational tech during that time.
Yes, it was it wasn't like an in and out trip in Cleveland. It was during an NSSE. And I was a new CAT guy, right? So I got the CAT in 2007, 2008, and I was there all the way to 2023. And I even thought, I was like, is this the best idea to do this right now?
No.
Shouldn't we have tested it?
No, it's not the
we
best
went to
idea.
Indiana. And that's the point. That's like where now we have a great idea and we're going to throw it in, and everybody, you have to just adopt it. We didn't test it in the right capacity. Maybe the people in headquarters tested it, but the rest of us didn't know what the hell how to use this. And it was like on the job training. That mentality, right? That mentality breeds failure, right? Because you're doing, why did you do it? Why did we pick that system? Was it a favor to somebody? Did somebody think it was good? Why didn't we get trained on it appropriately before we rolled it out? I had so many questions and I was brand new and I was asking the right questions. I can only imagine like my team leaders. Well, my team leader just sat there in the front. He's like, I'm just going to yell loudly and you better hear me when we come out, because he was so angry. So there's the give and take. And again, not to be an apologist for the service. I'm also not trying to excoriate it. That was years ago. That was like maybe 20 years ago. Maybe less than that. The service and the government needs to be continually listening to the people that are on the ground working as to what we need and we don't. And the ideas coming back should come from down, up, evaluated, and implemented, not up top that's been disconnected from operations for pick a number of years. And then you have the idea and propagate it down and force something upon people, forcing us to do 3 times the amount of work because you had such a great idea. All this stuff, like I learned as I was going, and sometimes it'd be something so dumb as, hey, Kat, you're no longer going to be in this position. You're going to be in this position. And I said, well, you're making us do 3 times the amount of work just by moving us 10 feet. Why? And I would explain to him with tactics, how it relates to our medal, how I support the president's detail. And it was kind of like the My Cousin Vinny, that is a rational, logic, lucid explanation, overruled. And I'm like, all right, well,
rock, paper, rank.
So go fuck yourself then, right? And then I would just go in and I would talk to the shift leader and I'd just say, the shift leader, I was like, hey, you got 30-second response time. You got 30 seconds by the time I get there to get a show going, and then I'll take over. But you got 30 seconds. Why? It's because this is what they want us to do. And he'd be like, and then it was other reasons too. Sometimes it's to keep us out of the public eye. Sometimes it's to do whatever the case might be. But if you just listened, we can come to some amicable conclusion as to enhance my capabilities. Trust me, man. I know what I'm doing. There's a lot of that. And it wasn't the service culture. It's just individuals that make those decisions that have the authority to tell you to do something.
Looking back now, post-career, if you could, would you go back and change the way that you either phrase those conversations or your behaviors?
Yeah, a lot of that. I would say 75% of them, I would say the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Would you say it in a different way though?
No, those 75%, I would do the same exact thing. Because I actually, when I had my wits with me, and I wasn't angry or I wasn't swinging back, I had a very good explanation of everything. And sometimes they were never going to concede anything. They just wanted what they wanted. Mm-hmm. The other 25% was me just being like, go fuck yourself. I'm going to yell. I'm going to flip the table over and tell you to go to hell. Those are the ones that I regret, because they don't focus on what the issue was. They just remember that you were an asshole, right?
Yep. It's tough.
And it's like you fell into their trap, because they're like, oh, can you believe he's an asshole? Yeah, he's an asshole. He told us to go fuck ourselves. All right, cool. What were we talking about? They didn't care. It doesn't matter what it is. This is the leadership 101 for everybody. Don't make it worse, right?
That's a good starting point for sure. I've failed on that one many times. The worst is too, when you have those outbursts or you express yourself, let's just say under the bar of what you would aim for as a leader. A lot of the times the people that are working for you are watching as well. And so they see that as a poor expression. It's got to be managed. You have to address it. You have to change behavior.
I think the metric that I have for myself is my guys love me and will follow me to hell and back. and the people above me may not feel like that. And that's okay, because if these guys believe in me, not because of special favors, but because I held them to a higher standard, and I also led by example. It wasn't like I didn't tell them what to do. I did everything I told them to do together. And I told them we were going to fail together, but we'll succeed together no matter what. And I held the line. I shielded them. I protected them. I led them. I taught them. I loved them. And they extend all that back to me. And all these guys have like these super retirement parties. And like some of them might be at headquarters, and I don't even know. I haven't gone to any of those because I'm not a headquarters guy. My guys threw a barbecue for me at a local barbecue spot near my house that I like to go to. And like the people that showed up, it was some supervisors that were above me. And they came, they gave me a hug, they told me, but it was just like so many people showed up to just tell me, to thank me, to give me a hug, and then leave. That meant more to me than any super big retirement party, because I didn't even want one. One of the supervisors told one of the guys that they need to throw one for me, and they called me, and I was like, no, I don't want anything. I just want to leave, and I just want to finish my book, right? That's like priority number one. Like,
you were already writing it while you were in?
Oh, it was.
I was going to get there. Did you ever think while you were in that you were going to write a book, or where did the idea come?
Yeah.
Before you answer too, I successfully retired with no party whatsoever.
I would have.
I left work one day. I told my boss, the only guy, I was in the process of getting medically retired, and they'll, hey, do you want to do a ceremony? I realized I had nothing to do for a good amount of time, more time off than he should have given me. And I just went in and I said, hey, the new guy's already replaced. Yeah, he's up to speed. Do you have anything for me to do? He's like, no. I'm like, I'm not coming back to work. And he said, okay. That was it. So last day I went into work.
I didn't want one. And after we had it, I loved it because there's the love that I felt from everybody.
Well, no one loved me, John. So
I'm sure people did.
The way to just really hold the love of others from you over my head.
People probably still text you to this day.
I just didn't want to do the retirement thing. More so, not that I don't appreciate the ceremony. I know the pomp and circumstance and the time drain it is for other people.
We wore shorts and drank tequila, so we were good.
Yeah, I mean, what I was staring down the barrel at is they get you, and then the huge flag and people who was going to speak in your dress uniform, and I was just,
no, I'd never go for.
I'm going to go home today, boss. Do you mind if I never came back?
Yeah, my wife wanted to go eat barbecue that day too, so that was also a factor.
Totally. Okay, so you had this idea for the book while you were still in.
The book changed. It was originally a book about leadership. All the stuff that I talk about here in this podcast, way more stuff than that. And then it turned into like a comedy because I was writing stories that were funny. That nobody would believe. Yeah, because we do so much stupid shit, right? And when I started to detach from Cat, and it started with that incident with the rifle, I spiraled down. That identity was ripped out of me. And I was depressed. I was suicidal. I was, it was like, and at some point, and I don't know if you read any of it, right? It's like at some point, one day, that weight of the world of that identity being gone was like an empty void. I didn't know how to replace it. And my wife found me in the bathroom on the floor. Like I just collapsed in the middle of the night. And the story's in there of like how she found me. And it's quick. It's not that long for anybody that doesn't like reading. But when I woke up from that and I just saw her face, I just sprung up and I was like, you know what? Fuck this. Like thing is not going to kill me. And I put her back to bed. I had to go to the doctor, obviously, right? Because like the doctor,
not a normal occurrence, so I might want to get that checked out.
Yeah, right. So like,
what did the doctor say?
It could have been anything from syncope to a mild heart attack.
Okay.
Right? So I knew it was the stress.
Yeah.
I knew what it was. We had a guy pass away right after he retired, and it was like he had all the tells for what happens to military law enforcement first responder when we leave. Our lifespans are inherently shorter.
It's like 2.5 to 5 years, man.
Right. So
they
he
promise
was
you this sunset walk, enjoy your retirement. Your fucking retirement might be half a decade.
I dealt with this before I retired because I had my cardiovascular related episode and I was suicidal. And I could talk about that too. I won't even, if you want me to talk about it, I will, just to the story. But more importantly is for the people that are listening, is I decided that I needed to fill this void, not with the job that I had, because all the stuff that I knew how to do, how to counter assault people, tactics, leadership, ethics, all this stuff that I would cling to going through, and I was good at a lot of stuff. And I was really good at my job. For anybody that's listening, you want to hire me? I'll teach you whatever it is you need to know. You'll be a killer of men too. And it's like, and I was good at my job. However, it almost killed me because that my entire identity was torn out. And it happens to all of us. My friend who passed away, he had a heart attack, and it was, I don't want to say like a year to year and a half after he retired. We falls into that range.
Yeah.
The number one killer of us that shorten our lives is suicide and a cardiovascular related
Heart
event.
disease, yeah.
Right? Those are the two biggest killers of people that leave these areas that we're in. So I had both of those. And I made it through. And we have programs in the service that they talk about like the peer support stuff, and the people that are there are fantastic people that are trying to help everybody, because we do have depression, and we've had a bunch of suicides, and we've had right, like nobody hears about this kind of stuff either. So I had a framework of the book, leadership, comedy show, right? And I told my wife to go back to bed, and then I'll go to the doctor, right? And the doctor was like, I think you had a heart attack. It's like, you should have called 911. I was like, no, I felt fine. I felt great when I woke up. And there's something he was talking about, releasing endorphins, and I didn't pay attention. But I checked on my kid that morning, and I went straight downstairs to start reading. It was like, no, I'm starting right now. Not tomorrow, not a date, not next week, right now. And I remember the first book I pulled off the shelf. It was Marcus Aurelius, Meditations.
Mm.
And I burned through it, and I started working on myself to make myself as strong as possible. And then I replaced that void with so many things that, like jiu-jitsu is one of them, right?
I don't think you're supposed to burn through meditations.
Well, I read it, and I just kept and I kept reading.
You're supposed to meditate on it.
It's
I don't think meditations is supposed to be a page turner, because I think you're supposed to read a few pages and then meditate.
I do that with all the books now.
Yeah.
I'll get in them. I have to put my earbuds in so I don't hear anything.
Yeah. For clarity, people out there, I'm fucking joking. There's no wrong or right way to read a book. However, that one generally they want you to sit with the concepts.
You gotta sit with the concept. It's the first book, and
Yeah.
I used to carry it in my bag all the time because I would go back to it and refer to it. And then the Bible, right? And I went through the whole thing, and I go back through the Gospels now, and I read whatever I can get my hands on. I read your new book, and I burned through that one too, using the same words. Right?
That's a short book, though. Let's be very clear. My book and the book by Marcus Aurelius titled Meditations should never be mentioned in the same sentence.
Well, you don't know that. You don't know
I'm
what
pretty
the fact
fucking sure. And so are you. And so is Michael. Michael, have you read the book? Go fuck yourself. You haven't read anything.
I haven't read the book.
So anyway, my book is like a pathway. It starts off, and it takes you, the first quarter of the book takes you on a downward spiral. I talk about this identity and egos and self-worth and self-esteem. And then I'll start taking you back up, and it's the story. It's not a biography on me. There's stories about me, stories about other people, but it is a pathway that I found that helped me. And there's a bunch of stories in there. Some are sad, some are happy, some are funny, some are you can't believe are true. But that's what this thing turned into. And it's for the self. It's for the person, the individual. There's a lot of like, are you going to assimilate to a culture? Or just because somebody's telling you something, does that mean you have to do it? Sometimes no. And it takes you and it asks you a bunch of questions. You have to answer them. And ultimately in the end, now it's like, my identity is me. I'm the one, like you can't pull me out of me now.
Mm-hmm.
I do jiu-jitsu. If I get injured, I got something else to go to. If that goes away, I'll go back to something else.
It's what you do. It's not who you are.
That's it. And every day you go out there, you strive to be this good human, and there's so much that goes into it. It's not just one thing. And as long as you keep trying and endeavoring, that's a word.
I'm on board. I know no. As long as you endeavor.
Endeavor's a verb, right?
Yeah. I don't know if the ing, as long as you endeavor.
Endeavor?
Yeah.
This is how you know I went to a public college.
If I was writing this, I would look for the squiggly line underneath so I could right click on it and get suggestions.
But as long as you keep trying to be a good human, you'll be a good human. That's it. The second that you stop and you're like, nah, I got it, I'm good, that's when everything starts falling apart.
You know what's wild about that? Is so many people, and this is a realization I think I'm coming to later in life, but so many people want life to be easy. And I think I know what they mean. I think they want to be comfortable and they want it to be enjoying and fulfilling and enriching. But I think the path to all of that is actually through difficulty and hardship and seeking it out. I don't think you should seek an easy life. I think you should basically, to steal somebody else's words, learn how to suffer well. If you can appreciate that and you can stay on that journey, I think that might be the juice of life, man. In life itself.
You can't ask for things. The book starts with a quote from John F. Kennedy. Don't ask for things to be easy. Ask instead that they be worth it. And I used to have a picture of the rotunda at the Capitol, and it was from the top looking down, and it was Kennedy's casket, and it was the 5 branches. It was Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and then the Coast Guard, and they were standing around. You had to guard and then had all the, like, you know, picture I'm talking about?
I do.
This is my favorite picture, and I had it next to my desk at home. I've since taken it down, but it was to remind me why I'm doing what I'm doing for work. And every day that I would look at it and be like, fuck, man, I never want that shit to happen here. So now moving forward, I would fight for the service. And all these years that I did what I did, I fought to make the service better and to be better in the service and lead men, right, and women. But I was on CAT, and most of those guys are guys.
Is it open to women?
It is.
Okay.
And after I decided the whole thing with my identity, now it's fighting for me. And it's the same mentality. I never want to go return to that wretched place that I was in. And I never will. Yeah. Because the things that I learned to get on the other side of what I went through, to go through that depression and that darkness that I was in, now I can't go back, because it's like my journey will never end. I will just keep going forward and never stop doing. I'm 51. Like in jiu-jitsu, my next goal is I want to learn how to, I know the techniques that I'm working on, and I have I would do Kimuras on everybody. So I told my instructor, I was like, hey, I'm going to do a 6-month ban. I'm not allowed to do any Kimuras. So it could force me to take the back and start doing all this other stuff. He's like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, I'm going to suck for a while, right? But you know what? I want to learn how to do this shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, cool, right? And then as I see the arm and I want to grab it, but like the point is the goal.
You're making a harder choice.
It's the harder choice.
Yeah.
And I suck more. It's hard for me because that was my go-to, just to grab an arm. And I would be like underneath somebody in side control, and I would grab their arm, and I have their back all of a sudden. They'd be like, what the fuck, John, right?
Also, listen to what you just said. I suck more.
Yeah.
You know who gives absolutely zero fucks about that?
Nobody.
Everybody other than you. So again, we have to be so careful with how we talk. You could say to yourself, I'm going to suck more, or you could say, I'm going to evolve and innovate or innovate, and it's going to take me a little bit until I get back up to speed.
Yeah. I mean, I say it in the
I
way
know
that
what you
say
mean.
it, yeah.
Oh, trust me, I have a doctorate in negative self-talk.
So
I wake up in the morning in the mirror. I'm like, "What's up, you piece of shit?"
You have the people that are positive and negative. I sit somewhere in the middle, but leaning negative.
Totally.
Right. So,
But yeah, it's but you're making.
I love it.
You're intentionally limiting yourself with the intent to struggle so you can grow. I think that's the juice of life.
and the competition for me is not to beat the black belt instructor. It's
Yeah.
not to beat Marcelo Garcia, who I love.
Good luck with that, by the way.
Right?
I've seen him roll. I don't.
No,
participate.
never. He'll break all my arms before I know what's going on.
Yeah.
My goal is to be better than the version of myself that was yesterday.
That literally is all that matters, by the way. I think that's the healthiest way to approach jiu-jitsu.
It's me. It's the journey is, am I better than me? I'll kick my ass from a year ago.
Yeah.
And a year from now, that guy is going to kick my ass now. And I don't care how many times you tap me. I don't care how many,
Yeah.
because it's like, hey, how did you do that? I don't get upset. And trust me, I'll tap quick because I don't want to break any more bones or tear
Totally.
any more ligaments. But that's just jiu-jitsu. That's just an example of that.
But it highlights something else too. How often have you heard people talking about, I caught this person, or they caught me? Instead of comparing themselves against their former self, they compare themselves against their teammates and training partners. What an amazing way to rob the joy of your own personal progression.
That's healthy competition is good.
It's healthy, but it can be taken too far because in that, I know people who will get hyper fixated on a person that they can't beat, or something always happens, and their jiu-jitsu has gotten galactically better against the version of the person they were 6 months ago, and they can't see it because of one outcome with one person. Healthy can be taken too far. Same thing with water. You can kill yourself by drinking too much water. It's also pretty life-sustaining.
I'll ask the question sometimes. You learned all this stuff. When somebody does it wrong, did you stop and explain it to them? Whether they want to hear it or not.
I would say it depends.
And well, there you go. Take us on the teams. We'd enter a room and I'd always be the first one off the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's because guys would hesitate and I'd come off the wall and their muzzles are up, but I did it on purpose. And I was like, and they would always lower their muzzles. I was like, why'd it take so long? And they're like, well, I wasn't sure. I was like, trust yourself. And we'd go in the room and then all of a sudden everybody's coming off the wall at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, boom. Now, it's like what I learned, and I learned it because I put myself not in danger, but at the same time, I knew you guys were done. Everything was on. I heard the clicks.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's on safe. Now I'm going to pass that on to you. And all of a sudden guys are just flowing off the wall. And everything I did, again, take the cat stuff. It's great. I love it. Now it's like the individual journey stuff. It's like you caught me playing chess, right? And
I mean, we'd have to phrase it like that. I happened to walk over, you were playing chess. I wasn't, like, are you playing chess right now?
no, you asked me if I won or lost.
Yeah, I was asking you to win it.
And now it's like I started seriously looking at chess like a couple of years ago, and I'm learning different techniques, different tactics, like stuff that I didn't even know like you could do. And all of a sudden I'm setting traps up for people.
Open with the Hofmeister's Gambit.
And
It's a classic.
I do the English opening or the London system. So right now,
Rookie.
Those are rookie things, but
You'll
I got
get there.
really,
It's fine.
but I got really good at trapping people with the English opening. But it's like I just stick to it right now. And when I don't want, again, sometimes I'll just be like, I'm not doing this now. I'm going to do something else, right? And then I'll get my ass kicked, and I'll be like, and I'll review. If you do chess.com and you hit the review button, most people don't know that button exists. Go into it. It'll help you. It's the same thing going back to when we mess up in the Secret Service. Did you do an after action? Did you listen to the after action? Did you implement the new ideas? Did you stop doing the stupid shit that caused it? And emphasize those things and teach everybody and make sure we're all in the same collective mindset so that the next person that tries, we can kick that guy's ass.
The after action on things that go well, I would argue, is almost irrelevant as opposed to the one where things go wrong. That's the one where the most emphasis should be put on it. The information disseminated widely.
The going well is like you're reinforcing something and it should be quick. Hey, you did this good? Good job.
Next.
That's it.
Yeah, because there's
Done.
not a whole lot to be gained by reinforcing that you're doing it well. The whole point of that is to how can you sharpen the blade more, and you don't do that by saying, let's pat each other on the back for 20 minutes.
No, it's the, I talk about after actions in the book. If I finish the next one, it'll be more in depth about true after action reports.
Yeah.
But the point of this book is that you do it to yourself. I'll find myself driving home from class, or I'll give a talk. I went to a church and they asked me to talk to a bunch of middle school kids, and I'll drive home and I'm thinking about what I said. I'll do that here. I'll do that after this podcast. I'll be like, what the fuck did I say? Right. And I'll just go through it and figure out how to be better next time. What things that I say that didn't make any sense to even myself. Like, it's like when I read stuff that I wrote, I'm like, what the hell did I write? I don't even know what I wrote. How many people write something? In college, I used to do this. I'd write a paper and I'd submit it. I never checked it, which is why I was never a doctor, by the way, right? Because like I would just do shit, turn it in, and I was just happy doing whatever because I wrestled and that's all I cared about. And then when that was gone, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It was the same thing that just happened in the service. So after actions, I think, takes a lot of humility. You have to quiet your ego, because having a flared up ego and learning don't go together.
No.
That's a scientific, it's like the people who have Tourette syndrome. I talked about this on another podcast. The people who have Tourette syndrome, that neural pathway, Tourette's, associated with anger, emotion, and anger, that neural pathway is the same neural pathway as focus. Right?
Interesting.
It goes one way and the other. When one is flared, the other one can't exist. You have these people who are surgeons that can do brain surgery and cardiovascular surgery that have Tourette's. Yet when they're in there, they're perfectly still. And when they put the blade down and they're done, the Tourette's returns, the tics return. That there's so many studies that talk about that. And I say it to make the point of, if your emotion is flared, if you're angry, you can't learn anything that anybody's telling you. All you see is the blind rage that's in front of you.
I'll add to that. You can't lead either.
Yes.
Yeah. 2 more questions for you. We've been at it for over 3 hours.
Really?
Which is excellent. First one, where can people find your book? And you on social media?
On Instagram. My social media started a certain way, and now it's I'm redoing the way I do it. You can find me on Instagram. I'm John Constantine 10. And it's small. I'm just starting to figure this stuff out. And then
Don't be in a rush.
I'm not in a rush.
Think of the most heavily mined country in the world, which I think is still Afghanistan, and just put a multiplier on that. Here's the thing, though. Just be kind.
Graveyard of Empires, right?
But if you're kind, if you stay on there and you maintain positivity and you're kind, it's a whole different experience.
Yeah, for the most part, I want to pass this message.
Yep.
I want to talk about leadership. I'll talk about like tactics and stuff, but like that's like it's like beating a dead horse, right? It's like everybody. I could talk about firearms. I'm not like the greatest shooter in the world compared to these guys that are out there.
The tactics aren't evolving that much either. Those books have been written. I mean, let's be honest. The hallways and stairwells, which people may not intuitively understand, those are environments that you're training in all the time. Clearance problems, hallways, stairways. I get it. I am sorry. There is a finite amount of ways to do it. Sure, you can involve tech, but angles are angles. Pieing stuff is pieing stuff. You can do it quickly. The juice, I think, is not in the tactic. It's in teaching and leading.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
I had a phone call with somebody, and he was asking me, what is the number one quality or trait that a leader should have? And I was bad. I made my consulting company to consult on this stuff, because I would just give everybody the answers right before so it's like to get business, like you have to hold something back, but
you don't actually.
I just say it because I want people to be better.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't have to hold it back. That is a business model, but if you care about impact, don't hold it back.
I just say what you should be doing. And I tell people like, hey man, so what I told them, and I blurted it out without thinking twice. My guys who are listening know what I'm going to say is love. And the guy like stopped, and he's just like, you love your guys? I go, you love your mission? You love the people that you're leading, and you love yourself. And it starts with that order, and you have to manage it in the two up to, and it's everything I said at the beginning. Love your mission. I love the Secret Service. I love what they do, what they stand for. I want them to succeed. I never want this crap to happen ever. If I could become the Punisher and help them, I would, right?
Yeah.
My wife would say something about that, but like
I mean, they're competing narratives, but
right.
and your name is very close to
Punisher's anti-hero.
Yeah.
I don't know.
ROEs are a little iffy with him. Might create more international incidents than he solves.
I'll pick another guy. I'm not that good with
maybe
figuring
Daredevil.
out
I don't know. He's a lawyer, I think. Yeah.
I'm not a lawyer. Right,
where can people find your book? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're
Continue.
good. And the book's on Amazon.
Okay.
And Hallways and Stairwells, John Constantine, and I lived in back hallways and stairwells and car planes and Suburbans and all over. So but the book, The Hallways and Stairwells, means the hallways and stairwells of you, the back alley hallways and stairwells in your life, the things that you don't see, because all you see is this. You don't see what's going on up here or in here. And if it's something that resonates with you, you can contact me and I'll lead you to it. But that's what the book's about. It's trying to help people. And so far I've given it to a bunch of people. And there's one person that said that they were having a difficult time. I'm not saying they were or were not suicidal, but they read it and it gave them a new pathway. And even that's worth it. Just one person.
Yeah.
It's that to me was the validation for me that I did something good and that also I helped a human being. So
it starts with one too, and that can compound, and you never know the cascading impact that person still being with us could have on other people's lives as well.
Who knows?
Yeah. All right. You've mentioned quite a few times that the Secret Service needs a few thousand people.
Yes.
You spent 2 decades plus working for the Secret Service?
Almost 23 years.
Let's close with this. Give me your best recruiting pitch for any young men and women out there as to why they should even consider that pathway in the first place. Let's help the service find the right people.
If you want to be part of an organization that does something to do security, is you're giving up a part of yourself. So there's sacrifice. To see the world on a stage that you cannot anywhere else, because you will have access to so many places from the inside looking out that people are like, wow, what would it be like in there? And also classified locations that we couldn't even discuss, to work on programs dealing with every single law enforcement, military, and intelligence agency in the United States and often outside the United States. You touch on everybody. And the more authority, opportunity, responsibility that you gain by doing a good job, you're able to see so much stuff, be around people, like forget the presidents even, but you're talking about congressmen, senators, foreign presidents, in like you're around every single decision that's made. And you're part of history. Things that I've done, I've been historic events. I've been at many where I was there working and I was part of history. The pitch with the Secret Service is it's hard. You're going to sacrifice some of yourself, but it's worth it. As long as you can manage the stuff that we just talked about, that you just don't become that. And that's the journey that you're going to take inside. Yeah. And officers, we need a bunch. Agents, we need a bunch. Administrative, professional, technical people, we need a bunch. It's like all facets. Apply, be great at your job, teach others. So,
and I'll add to that, as fucked up as our country can be at times, don't listen to the headlines. It's not worth, we're not at a place where we need to throw the towel in. It's worth it. And we need people still willing to sacrifice to keep us moving in that direction. And then people to protect those who make that their life's work. So one has to come with the other. Last thing for you. You're a tactical man. Have you ever heard of Montana Knife Company?
I have.
Do you have any of their blades?
I do not.
Well, we're going to change that up. So did you check a bag or carry on?
All carry-ons.
We'll mail it to you. The Battle Goat. Pop that sucker. There you go. I feel like for you, it's perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's fun. Sometimes they'll say, you'll never guess where it's made. And people will be like, where? Kentucky? I'm like, God damn it. Montana Knife Company.
The first word.
Those things are hard to come by. But it's got the podcast logo, laser and
I love it.
And blade as well.
Thank you for this.
Yeah, for sure. It goes well with tactical kits. Those things are, dude, they're razor sharp. Be careful with that thing for sure.
I opened it this way just so I wouldn't cut my thumb.
Josh gave one to Dana White to tie back into the White House, and he opened it and then went to the hospital.
So there you go.
Yeah, be cautious. John, thank you for the time. We'll put the the link to your book in the show notes and your IG profile and stuff like that. But, dude, that was awesome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Open invite. Come back when you do the second book.
So we'll talk. We'll see what happens between now and then.
Don't be a pussy. Do a second book.
I think it's going to happen. So
perfect. Awesome.